This is fun. I'll just let this play out because it's fun. Yeah. How's it going though, everyone? Welcome in, welcome in. It's time for more Chaos Head. I would put it in full screen, but I can't put it in full screen until I get into the settings. That would end it, so that would, like, yeah. I'm not sure if I'm actually mentally ready for more shenanigans and stuff. I'm gonna make the cat tree a little smaller. Hang on. And move the pets, just them. There you go. Hopefully that won't be too invasive. I can move my little guy a little bit. There we go. There we go. Oh, reveal the Komeida. I mean... Shh, I saw nothing. Meow. Okay, let us in, let us in. Bloop. Yeah. We're in. And we're in full screen, let's go. I'm not sure I'm mentally ready for whatever's gonna happen. I'll be honest. Yeah, I don't really have any notes. Like how I didn't have much to say after last stream. For a thing shrouded in mystery, it is like pretty straightforward. Yeah, I guess without further ado, 4 a.m. Shibuya is a city that never sleeps. About this hour, there are a few people at Scramble Crossing in front of the station. Instead, the square was filled with taxis. They're to ferry home drunks who couldn't wait for the first train. Most of the taxi drivers had their seats pulled back so they could nap. That's fair, that's valid AF. A few of them, though, took their jobs more seriously. They leaned forward on the wheel and watched the 107 building and Center Street. But tonight, they weren't watching for potential customers. Oh? They were watching, with interest, a cleaning crew that had appeared about half an hour earlier. How did they know it was a cleaning crew? I can read. Because each of the men wore a yellow armband with the words cleaning crew on it. That would definitely give it away, yeah. Otherwise, no one would ever associated them with the term. The men were wearing black suits, and the whole time they'd been here, they showed no signs of starting to clean anything. That's... One of the men held a strange measuring device that looked like some kind of pendulum, and others were around him, using it to take readings of some kind. They weren't staying at one place either. They were going all around Scramble Crossing and taking measures they would then write onto a piece of paper. Right now, they were directly under a traffic light, silently watching the pendulum device. It made a sound. Point out to 80, 62 mega G, a new high score. 38 points higher than last month, huh? Just what we thought. But no one in Shibuya that night was watching the cleaning crew that closely, though. As soon as the passenger climbed into a cab, its driver quickly forgot about the cleaners. And most of the drunks had already passed out and were in no position to look at what was going on around them. The cabaret girls and prostitutes, finally free of their stress that came with smiling at nasty drunks for hours, were getting into taxis to quickly return home. And so, no one realized that the government had not announced any plans to clean Scramble Crossing that night. Suspicious. Right, the vampire... Even after the weekend ended, the furor over the fourth New Generation Madness case, the vampire showed no signs of slowing down. The corpse of a man drained completely of blood, his skin turning a sickly inhuman green. It was found in a toilet on the Shibuya Inokashira line. Inokashira. Not only that, a photo of the corpse was put up on an online auction site at about the same time the corpse was found. The bizarre, cruel nature of the murder meant the media and at-channel were sure to leap on it. The message on the auction page had also attracted a lot of attention. There's a shortage of type B blood. Large numbers of tissue packets advertising blood donations with that exact same text had been handed out in Shibuya. I had a packet of them with me right now. Thinking back, that strange text wasn't an ad for blood donations at all. It was an announcement predicting the next murder. The cops were looking for the part-timers that had been handing them out, but nobody could find much of anything in the way of clues. There was something very different about Vampire compared to the previous cases. There had been signs of it during the Crucified case, but this latest murder really felt like a theatrical crime, a spectacle meant for public consumption. A crime, or a series of crimes, committed in a state of high public scrutiny. The media reports on the crime and the police respond to it as if it were a TV show, and sometimes the criminal will send letters or make announcements to fuel the fire. Theatrical crimes often spiral out of control, with some viewing the criminal as a hero and others committing copycat crimes. Some pundits were suggesting things like bringing more cops into Shibuya, or establishing a curfew for anybody under a certain age. But the number of young people visiting the city showed no sign of going down. Scramble Crossing and Center Street were as packed as ever. The net was in an uproar. Several snakes, or internet detectives, were going around Shibuya and giving live reports on what they saw. And a popular new phrase was spreading among the youth of the city. Whose eyes are those? Sonome Darenome, right? Soronome Darenome? Something like that. Anyways, it was spreading not just online, but among the delusions who walked around the streets of Shibuya. On 8chan, people were putting the phrase at the end of messages that had nothing to do with New Gen. This week's Blood Tune didn't have enough Seiratan. Whose eyes are those? The new weapon they added in the latest patch are kind of shit. Whose eyes are those? Okay, hang on, I'm gonna tap and find out the exact phrase because it's gonna bug me. Yeah, Sonome Darenome. There we go. That was close, but my brain was buffering. Sonome Darenome. Anyways. What kind of whose eyes are those is that? Like that. New Gen was nothing but a source of fun for the youth of the city, but to me, it was an absolute nightmare. That said, 3 days after the vampire incident, I started to calm down. Of course, it was still in the back of my mind, But a solid weekend of ESO had helped me forget all the awful and unexplainable things that had happened. Today was a school day, and I'd even managed to make it through the day's classes by sleeping or thinking of rare ESO items. I'd grown up a little. And so, like always, I headed to At Cafe after school ended. Oh boy. Tutu indeed. You're not getting a free tutu just because you typed it. How's it going, though? Not that I haven't spent most of the day with you, but... I was so happy to see that my designated spot, room 37, was open. It had been 2 weeks since the last time I'd come here. It was the first time there had been such a long gap. Sorry, but like in a good way. Honestly, same. It was a good walk. I would say we should do that more often, but like, maybe not super often, but like every once in a while would be cool. Anyways. The musty stench of the breeze coming from the air conditioner, the stench of the cigarette smoke clinging to the manga, the pleasant feeling of the reclining seats and the silence, punctuated by the snoring of middle-aged men. It felt so good to be back. I looked at the chat log for the PC in room 37 too. And what I learned was, this whole thing was an act you put on. Shogun is you. I remembered Yua's words and looked over fearfully toward room 36. I checked to make sure it was empty when I arrived, and since I hadn't heard any sounds coming from within, it probably still was, but it still scared me. I stood up, looked over the partition, and confirmed that it was empty. Relieved, I sat back in my reclining seat. I hadn't seen Yua since then. We were in different grades, and I didn't go to school that often in the first place. So, of course, we wouldn't run into each other that often, but... Yua's delusions are crazy. Rich coming from you, buddy. I felt so bad for her. She must have a terrible mental disorder. It was best to just ignore people like that. Things with Yua had just been a disaster from the start. For the past 2 weeks, I've been dragged into one mess after another. Until then, my life had been incredibly peaceful. The only person who talked to me was Misumi. You know, the normal. Your boyfriend. Why was all this bizarre stuff happening to me lately? I didn't even want to think about any of it. That dying message was just a coincidence, I decided. I mean, they were all really common words. If somebody with a brain like mine could come up with them, anyone could. I didn't care who that message was meant to reach. No, that wasn't it. I couldn't let myself care. I suddenly heard a noise nearby. I shuddered in my reclining seat, shocked. You have a phone, buddy, remember? It was the sound of a phone ringing. But whose? The place was silent, so the ringing sounded really loud. I looked around, but I couldn't even see a phone. Oh, could it be? I suddenly had an idea, looked inside my bag. Just like I thought. It was the phone I had bought several days ago. Trembling, I looked at the screen. Vods were supposed to show the number of whoever was calling you, right? Should I pick up? But I didn't really like talking to people. He was calling me anyway. I hadn't given this number to anybody. The only ones who knew it were Nanami and the rest of my family. She had put their names into my contacts too, even though I hadn't asked her to. If the number dialing me was one registered in my contacts, it should display the name instead, which meant it wasn't my family. So, who could it be? The phone kept ringing. Were people always this persistent when they called your cell phone? I never used one before, so I didn't know for sure, but it was really annoying. They were just barging into my private space and ringing my phone until I answered. That was a violation of my privacy, wasn't it? That's why I never wanted a phone to begin with. No, it stopped. Relieved, I looked at the phone's liquid crystal crystal screen. One missed call, it read. I didn't know who'd called, but I certainly didn't feel like calling back, so I decided to just ignore it. They were gonna leave a voicemail, aren't they? Oh. I should learn how to set up voicemail so this didn't happen again. Cell phones were such a pain. I don't like phones anyway. I mean, they were really weird. How was anybody ever sure that the person they were talking to was really who they said they were? Voice recognition for the most part. There were a lot of phone scams out there, right? Did people just not bother to check? I just couldn't understand how somebody could talk to someone else when they weren't even sure they were real. Says person that frequents online chats. I got your matriculation stuff out of the way. You misunderstood how the placement stuff worked, but you guess Irvine Valley College got a high school transcript because you're starting with trigonometry. I don't know what trigonometry is. I can't help you with that one, buddy. Definitely gonna be watching a crash course math videos up until the spring semester starts. Yeah, buff your math muscles. I don't know. I believe in you. You got this. This is what you get for picking a science career. You should definitely talk to a counselor too on their campus to see like their stuff about paleontology and shit, or like what you can do there before like transferring to wherever else. You know, that sort of thing. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. I understood the physics principles that let you talk to somebody far away via a phone, but I still found it hard to believe. That's ironic, Takumi, because I don't understand the physics. I don't want to know the physics, but I don't understand it. And I understand that I don't understand it. But, like, I don't find it hard to believe. Maybe he knows too much and that's why he's confused. Or he's just dumb. He's a dumb old man despite being younger than me. Oh. It really boils down to a tin can on a string. That's kind of what I figure, but I don't know. It's complicated. I don't want to waste my brain cells. My non-existent brain cells. If you think about anything too hard, you'll get confused. That's my strong belief. When you talked on the phone, your voice was turned into an electrical signal. The signal was transmitted down a wire to the person on the other end, and then turned back into a voice so they could be heard. Man, is explaining the physics behind it. We're gonna learn so hard. In other words, if you want to talk to someone on the phone, your voice needed to be transformed a minimum of 2 times. For a cell phone, first the electric signals created from your voice were sent to a nearby cell tower, then transferred to a switching center via normal telephone lines. From there, they were sent to the tower nearest to the person you were talking to, and then sent via electromagnetic waves to their cell phone. It was an incredibly complicated and bizarre process, and I will not remember this. Sad days. A waste of education. If my voice was being transformed into electrical signals, could the person I was talking to really hear every single thing I was saying exactly the way I said it? I mean, it depends on like how strong the signal is, and then just in general, people will sound like slightly different on the phone. I feel like especially back then too. So, shrugs. Wasn't there a chance that in the process of turning it into an electrical signal, it could end up being turned into something else altogether? Uh, buddy. Buddy. For instance, say I called Nanami, and instead of my voice being sent directly to her, it was sent to some weird building somewhere. And there, somebody I never met could pretend to be Nanami. Maybe I wasn't even talking to a person. I could be talking to a computer. Are you this skeptical about your online chats and your games, buddy? Because, like, that's why talking on the phone was so scary to me. It's scarier than even talking to someone in person. I logged into ESO as Lizalotte, or Lizalot. I don't know. I'll never get it right. This issue is hypothetically possible, but it is a problem that was solved well before things became wireless. That's cool. Lizalotte, I don't know. And 3 hours passed quickly. It's been 2 weeks since I logged in as Lizalot, or Lotte, I don't know. But today, I was able to do a great job with the character, and was really satisfied. I left for home in a great mood. Central Street was as loud and obnoxious as ever. I always hated it. And thanks to all of the store's lights, it was so bright that it didn't feel like nighttime at all. At the end of the well-lit street, I saw someone in the crowd, and recognized them instantly. I froze. Place your bets now on who you think is at the end of the street. I think it's... I don't know. The girl was... Ah, it's a girl. Maybe Yua? Oh. Her. We met her for like a second before. Staring at me intently, ignoring the huge crowds around her. In the middle of Center Street, where it's hard to even walk straight among the endless streams of people, she was standing stock still, holding a huge sword on her shoulder. Can I have the sword? 'Cause it's cool. That is such a cool sword. I'm glad we're having a zoom in on it. It was a bizarre scene, but nobody seemed to notice her sword. They parted around her like water in a stream breaking against a rock, moving by without the slightest change in expression. It was the girl I'd seen at the 107 building. Ah, we didn't confirm who that was. We also met her at school, buddy. She'd been there when I'd gone to buy a phone with Nanami. The shape of her sword, the Suime uniform, the long black hair, it all matched. This was the girl who'd been watching the crowds from up on the stairs of the 107 building. And... remembered something else when I saw the intensity of her eyes as she looked at me. I seen her once at school too. Yeah! You know, this is the anime hair color rules, but black. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the time when, like, a hair color is, like, a dark purple or a dark blue, it's supposed to be quote-unquote black, but it's other color for, like, telling them apart from the other reasons. Long, shiny black hair that extended down to her waist, oval eyes, a pretty but intimidating face. It was Girl B, the one who'd so rudely asked, "Who are you?" in the hallway after school last week. Why was she glaring at me anyway? I turned around to see if anyone was there, just in case I was being self-conscious. I thought maybe there would be someone she knew behind me, but there wasn't. She was looking at me with something that bordered on outright hostility in her eyes. Yeah, it was me she was after. I flinched. This must be how a frog feels when a snake is bearing down on it. There was no way I could glare back. It was hard for me to even meet her gaze. I had no choice but to look down. I should run away, I thought. Usually, I take a left at the intersection where she was standing and head across the book vat. But today, I had to go around the front of the station. There were a lot of people there, but it was still better than dealing with some scary 3D girl. She might be trying to bug me. Mug you? With that big ass sword? I feel like she's more willing to kill you, buddy. It looked like Girl B was alone, but it was possible that she had a bunch of her other Dokyun buddies lying in wait, and they were trying to lure out and beat me up. Uh-huh. Well, I wasn't gonna fall for it. I turned around and couldn't believe what I saw.
Oh. Eh?
Huh? For some reason, Girl B was there. I quickly turned around and looked at the intersection where she'd been standing a moment ago. She wasn't there. I looked ahead of me again. She was still there, holding her sword and glaring at me. When did she get in front of me? I imagine when the whoosh sound was made. Nobody could be that fast. You'd practically have to teleport. How was she able to tell I'd turn around anyway?
Oi.
Hey. Her voice was shockingly clear. I desperately looked around. I wanted to believe that she was talking to someone else. I searched as hard as I could for that someone else she might have meant to address what she said, hey. But of course, there wasn't anyone. The only people nearby were a group of salarymen. They looked towards her for a moment, but quickly realized she wasn't talking to them and kept moving. Suddenly, she took a step toward me. This is all I needed to be fully sure. Girl B was after me. Can you see it? I was terrified. No girl in my 17 years had ever been aggressive toward me. Tsubaki Kirimiya, also known as Sunko, could be really mean when she was in a tsundere mode, but not even she was this bad. Originally a girl who is normally... okay, this is explaining tsundere, not the person... Well, anyways, originally a girl who is normally cold, soon, but becomes loving, dere, when you're alone with her. In recent years, however, the exact definition of this world has become less clear. I mean, yeah. Also, she was a 2D character from an age game called Thermidor. Even as my brain was thinking about tsundere age games, Girl B was still getting closer. She was a girl. How could she be this intense and scary? I thought it was strange, but the reason was actually quite simple. The intensity of her eyes, that, and the huge sword she was carrying. You meant to spell that as personnel because meme, but personal also works. I see. I didn't even notice you spelt it that poorly now that I think... Like, now that I'm looking at it again. And an extremely unusual shape for a sword. In an anime, it would have looked really cool, but if you tried to use it in the real world, it would probably be completely useless. I don't know, man. Looks pretty useful to me. It also had to be from a mecha anime or something. Were there any new mecha anime lately? I knew it was a cosplay prop, but it looks so sharp, so strong. Like the slightest touch could take your finger clean off. It was such a strange weapon. I asked if you could see it. Girl B was within 2 meters of me now. If she swung that sword, it was sure to reach me. I quickly took a step back, but it was too late. She got even closer. No boy, love to have a bad delusion in the middle of this. And then she really swung it. I crouched to the ground with my head in my hands. If I hadn't dodged, it would have hit me right in the head. It probably wouldn't have actually cut me, but with that speed, it would have given me a concussion or caved my skull in. Please don't hurt me. What are you doing? I was so freaked out that I could barely speak. I knew it.
お前
You can see me, right?
は
Huh.
はい
Huh? Did she just ask if I could see her? By her, she meant herself, right? Girl B, the one standing in front of me. Suddenly, her face took on a look of sadness, and she knelt down before me. She was now at my eye level, and her gaze seemed like it was pleading with me.
私
Nobody
誰にも
could
見つけて
see
もらえ
me,
なくてどれだけ声を出して
no
も
matter what I said.
誰にも届
Nobody
かない
reacted.
体はすり抜
My
けちゃ
body
うし
passed right through them,
寒いし
and it's cold.
ほら
Look,
見て
you can see through my legs,
足を透
right?
けちゃって自分
I
に
don't
何が起きたの
understand what happened to me.
かわからなくてもう
I
何年
think I've been here
何十
for
年
years, maybe
この場所
decades, just
さま
wandering
よって
this
いたような
place.
気がする
Was she a ghost? Impossible. I didn't have any kind of sixth sense.
ずっと
I've been looking for someone for so long.
私を見つけてく
Someone
れ
who
る人
could find me.
ありがとう
Thank you.
ありがとう
Thank you.
お礼に
Not to repay you.
お前に取り付
I'm
いて
going to haunt you forever. Oh god, Code Geass is from 2008. Like specifically the second season. Oh god. Gurren Lagann, the movie Childhood's End? Huh. I keep forgetting how old Gurren Lagann is, I'll be honest. Cross Frontier, Mobile Suit Gundam, Igloo 2 Gravity Front. I never heard of that one. Weirdly, that's it in this Wikipedia article. Interesting. Answer me.
見えるな
You can see it, right?
ディソードが
The D sword.
え
Huh? I came back to my senses and looked back up at the face of girl B. She wasn't crying. Her legs weren't transparent. Her hands were normal hands. No, just a delusion. But a D sword? What was that? I imagine D sword in front of your face. I never heard that word before. It was clear she was referring to the strange sword-like object in her hand. But why did she want to know if I could see it? I decided to nod. Of course I could see it. How could I not? It was huge, and she was holding it in the middle of Center Street. I mean, maybe in Akihabara I wouldn't have noticed it, but Shibuya wasn't an anime town.
そうか
I see.
お前も集められた
So you were gathered here, too. Gathered? Who was gathered? And by who? I was here of my own free will, at least.
エラーを見たことがあるか
Have you seen an error? Please do speak Japanese, okay, thanks. Nihongo de okay. Please to speak is short for please to speak. Please to speak, basically, actually. Used to tease someone who's saying things you can't understand and tell them to speak more clearly. Yeah. Was what I wanted to say, but I didn't have the courage. If I said the wrong thing, she'd probably stab me. I didn't have any idea what she was talking about anyway.
見たら教えろ
If you see one, tell me. She turned away after she said that. Her skirt flew up as she turned. I almost saw her panties. Priorities, dude. I quickly closed my eyes.
私は
I'm Sena
3年の青い
Ali.
瀬名
I'm a third year student.
駅前の電車
I'll
に
be at the train car in front of Hachiko. I opened my eyes. And the girl who had called herself Senna was no longer there. I stood there in complete confusion, and it was only after I got back to the base that I realized I hadn't understood a single thing she'd said. Of all the weeks to have to go to school 3 times, what a depressing day. Hey! I heard a strange cry a few meters away from me. It was so sudden my body jerked in surprise. I looked toward the source of the noise and... Gah.
お兄
Brother! Nanami ran over to me at incredible speed. I tried to escape, but it was too late. She got in front of me, blocking me in. She was... blah blah blah. She'd always been really athletic. Hey, why did he try to run when you saw your little sister? Because you're obnoxious, obviously. Look, you got all quiet again. Really? Why did my sister decide to go to CMA Academy? Of all the places she could have gone, it was a huge pain from my perspective. Whenever I saw her at school, she'd come over and annoy me. Hey, how's the phone? Are you using it? You're not, are you? It's been a while since you got it, and you haven't called home once. I tried to walk fast to shake her off, but she followed me, refusing to give up. At least call home and let them know you're alive. That's why we bought it for you. If you really don't want to, well, you can call my phone, I guess. Mom's really worried. Are you eating right anyway? You're just eating junk from the convenience store, aren't you? You're not cut out for living on your own. Come home. Do you understand how it feels for me to watch you live like this? I'm always really worried. Shut up. What is your problem? Are you my mom? Why do you have to talk about this in the middle of the street anyway? I'm already in a bad mood and you're just making it worse. It's incredibly embarrassing to have to go to school with your younger sister next to you. Sure, it happened a lot in H games. In fact, I loved it when it happened in H games, but Nanami wasn't nearly as good as a 2D girl. Somebody give me a cuter little sister. Nanami and I walked toward the school side by side, a bad mood simmering between us. I looked over at her, hoping I could get a chance to escape before we reached the school gate. She'd been so mad a moment ago, but now she was quiet and seemed kinda out of it. Her eyes looked like they were drifting out of focus. Or was that my imagination? Her footsteps were unsteady. Just as I realized something was wrong, she stepped out into the road. A car was coming right in front of her. Hey, watch out! I grabbed her and pulled her close. The car drove past, its horn blaring. She nearly avoided being run over. No getting isekai now. Hey, what are you doing? Huh? Huh? What? She seemed confused. Her eyes were blinking rapidly. Why did I just do that? Huh? Was she a total moron? Why didn't she know that what she'd just done? Just to be clear, I imagine. This wasn't moe at all. Not moe in the slightest. What are you doing? Are you trying to get run over by a car? Was there a car? Of course there was. Was she going senile on me? Hey, brother. Do you hear that wee sound? You okay, Nanami? Huh? What was she talking about? I hadn't heard anything at all. I heard the sound, and I started to feel kind of weird.
あそこに
And over there. Nanami pointed to the corner.
お父さんとお
I
母
saw
さん
mom
が
and
立
dad
ってて
standing there
ナナを呼ん
and
でた
calling
の
me. I looked to where Nanami pointed. It wasn't my parents there, just some creepy guy. He wore a checkered shirt, fingerless gloves, jeans with the legs rolled up, and white sneakers. The backpack he also wore was stuffed full. It looked like any otaku you'd see in Akihabara. He even had a video camera in his hand. Maybe he was some kind of peeping Tom. Hey, but don't point at people. What a rude little sister she was. Why would her parents be here anyway? Her home was in Shimokitazawa. Shimokitazawa. Beva.
おかしいな
That's weird.
確か
I
に
know I
呼ばれ
heard
た
them
のに
calling me. The man looked at us. He was pointing his camera at me and not at me. You, what was his problem? Let's go, not at me. I got scared and ran away, leaving my sister behind.
あ、お兄
But brother,
ちょっと待って
wait for me. I managed to ignore Nanami until we got to the school. Then I headed down the bustling hallway toward my own class. When I walked down the hall, I always walked on the side. I always made sure to go at the proper speed. Not too fast and not too slow. I'd make sure to keep my head down so I didn't meet anybody's gaze. These were my 3 rules. I needed to be like the air, invisible, if I didn't want to stand out. That was my way of surviving this world.
Yo, Taku.
Yeah, Taku. Once again, however, someone appeared who would make doing so impossible. Izumi ran up to me from behind, and as always, gave me a 2 friendly slap on the shoulder.
Oisu.
Morning. At least say hello. Well, I know that's not really your thing, I guess. Hey, I told you about that girl in Class D, right? The one who's really hot, but never comes to school. Her name's Ayase Kishimoto. And I made a huge discovery about her. He suddenly lowered his voice and looked around to make sure nobody was listening. He was probably about to say something dirty again. I felt vaguely sick and was ready to let out a huge sigh. You know Fess, right? But when I heard what he said, I gasped. This Kishimoto girl is actually Fess. Let's go. I couldn't believe it. Fess is the student at our school. And she's in our grade, too. For some reason, he decided to lean out a nearby window and look up at the sky with an expression of joy. This must be fate, right? They were on the 3rd floor, and if he slipped and fell, he'd snap his neck and die. I felt tense just watching him. He leaned forward even further and looked down at the entrance to the school. Oh, great timing, Taku. I found Kishimoto. She's coming here right now. Huh? That was a crazy coincidence. Maybe there was some kind of fated connection between them, like he said. Not that I cared. Okay, I'm gonna ambush her. Watch, Taku. I'll show you my pickup techniques. Oh boy. There was a note of total confidence in his voice. It must be nice to be attractive. Picking up girls was a foreign world to me. Not that I was one I had any interest in. A minute or so later, her real name was Ayase Kishimoto, right? Appeared. News to me was right. It was clearly her. I stood back, a good distance away, and looked at her cheerfully. It was a shock to see that she was the same age as me. Fess was wearing her Suihime uniform and walking slowly with a look of ennui on her face. Or on me. I don't remember. Man. She looked like a completely different person than the way she'd been on stage. When she was singing, there'd been a sense of power and motion in her voice, even when she was speaking softly. But now she just looked kind of sad and unapproachable. Mizumi must have seen it and decided to deliberately ignore it, because he walked right up to her side with the same over-friendly attitude he always used with me.
Yo, Kishimoto-san.
Hey, Kishimoto.
Ayo.
Good morning. Wow, what a brilliant but completely fake smile. How could you act that way with somebody you never met before? He was an inspiration, an idol, but not someone I wanted to copy, not in the slightest. Hey, I'm Daisuke Misumi. Nice to meet you. Oh, you think it's our first time meeting, right? But it's not. I went to Phantasm's concert the other day, you see? So we've actually met once before. And do you know, the way you were singing then, it was just, like, awesome, you know? I mean, I'm not a trend chaser. The lyrics and the fact that you're cute, that was a part of it. But what really amazed me was just how good your band was. Like, it's the perfect match for your vocals. You know, I've been thinking I want to start a band. Can you tell me how to find some good band members? Or like, give me some band-related advice? Oh, I know you're probably busy now. You got time after school? Want to go somewhere where we can have a nice long chat? Misumi kept talking and talking. The way he spoke was different than usual, and his voice was louder and more cheerful. And he wasn't directly hitting on her either. He was talking about her band as an excuse to go out with her. I never heard anything about Misumi wanting to start a band. It had to be a lie. I understood now. He wasn't just hoping the two of them had something in common. He was setting it up so that they would. But... oh boy! Fess didn't even look at him. She walked right down the hallway, as if she didn't hear anything at all. Hello? Are you listening? Fess suddenly stopped. She looked up, ever so slightly and slowly, and looked right at me. Oh. Huh? Me? I remembered how I felt like Fess was looking at me at the concert. Over the last 2 weeks, a lot of 3D girls have been staring at me. What's going on with that? Had I suddenly gotten really attractive? Nah. You. Yes. I froze, stiff as a board, when she spoke to me. There was this otherworldly, unreal aura about her. It made her seem older than me, but she wasn't, was she? She was in my grade. Fess jerked her head in the direction of Misumi to show she was talking about him. You shouldn't have anything to do with him. It's best to avoid guys like that. Hey, what's that supposed to mean? And what's wrong with me, exactly? You're a womanizer? You're obnoxious. Huh? Ugh. Misumi looked really annoyed. He was glaring at her, but she didn't seem to care about him the slightest. The mood between them had turned really sour. I didn't want anything to do with it. Fights weren't my thing, whether they were verbal or physical, and if I caused a problem at school, they'd put it on my report card. Maybe I should leave before anything else happens. What? Are you making fun of me? No. But you're bothering me. I see. So that's how you want to do this, Kishimoto. Let's go talk somewhere. Just the two of us. We can have a nice chat. Misumi smiled, but his face was twitching with anger. He put his hand on Festa's shoulder. I saw her eyebrows twitch.
触らないで
Don't touch me.
そう言うなって。
Don't be like
いい
that.
からちょっと付き合っ
Just
てよ。
come with me,
触らないで
I said.
言ってる
Don't touch me.
うっせえな。
Shut up.
ついてこいって
I
言
said
って
you're
んだろ。
coming with me,
バカな人
fool. It only took an instant. I've been watching the whole thing, and I still couldn't totally tell what had happened. I thought the delusion ended. Maybe I'm silly. I could see that cool-looking mic stand, or maybe it was the sword in Fess's hand. I didn't know where it had come from, but Fess swung it like it weighed nothing at all, and the blade flashed in her hands. And... Misumi's left arm had been sliced off at the elbow. There was a huge spurt of blood as his severed forearm and hand fell to the floor, then rolled across the reddening floor of the hallway. I couldn't see it. Couldn't see a thing. I couldn't see her take out the sword. I couldn't see her swing it. I couldn't see it cleaving through Misumi's arm. It all had happened at the time it took for me to blink. Next thing I knew, it was all over. My hand. My arm. My arm. Misumi had collapsed, then picked up his arm off the floor, and he was desperately trying to reattach his severed arm, as if simply putting it up to his stump would be sufficient. His screams echoed throughout the hallway. The students around us were screaming and running. Oh boy. And Fess. She was calmly watching the panic, sword still in hand. And then she looked at me again. Her red tongue slowly licked her lips, and she smiled, cheeks flushed.
気持ちいい
It feels so good. Okay. Now it's the delusion's over. That would have been kind of awesome, but it didn't happen. While I was enjoying my delusion, Fess had whispered something and quickly disappeared.
自信なくすぜ。
You're ruining my self-confidence, damn it. Misumi was in a gloomy mood after being completely ignored. If she was able to easily ignore an approach from a hot guy like him, maybe Fess was a Yuri type. Oh boy. Yuri, a girl who sees other girls as potential romantic partners. A lesbian. That would be a really great reason to ignore him. Her ideal partner would be a lolly type like, say, Nanami. Yep, totally.
あんな不愛想な女
Man, I'm never talking to that bitch again.
ああ、うぜえ。
What a pain.
大体
What the hell did she mean anyway?
わけわかん
Find the sword.
けん。
The sword.
ああ、
Yeah,
岸本がそう言っ
that's
た
what
だ
she
ろ
said, right?
剣を見つけろ。
Find the sword.
そうすれば救
And
われる。
salvation awaits. Salvation.
なあ、タク。
Hey, Taku.
ファンタズムの
Is
歌
that a
に
lyric from
そん
some
な歌詞もあるの
Phantasm
か
song? The sword. Does she mean that thing I'd just seen in my delusions? The one that looked like a mic stand? Come to think of it, just 2 days ago, somebody else had asked me about a sword. The girl named Senna. She was really scary. I thought she might actually kill me. That sword she'd been holding was shaped differently, but it was similar to the one that Fess had at the concert. Was there some kind of connection between the two? I didn't understand. There was far too much I didn't understand. Shogun, the demon girl, Yua, Fess, Senna, the swords. Like always, whenever I didn't understand something, I made a little list inside my head. I thought about adding myself to the bottom of the list, but stopped. I was just fine. It was everything else around me that was weird. Yeah, I was just fine. Was Fess on my side? Or was she my enemy? That was all I needed to know, but I didn't have the courage to talk to her. Today I went to Anime Out instead of going to cafe. At cafe, I can read. Why? To get my long-awaited Bloodtoon Seidaton post-awakening version figure. When I bought it, I saw an image of Yua's face in my mind for a second, but I quickly shut down that line of thought. There was a Seidaton display at the store, and the figure they had out for show was every bit the quality work I'd come to expect from its designer, Yoshio Kijima. Time to head home and stare at every inch of her body. All I had to do to be happy was play Yasuo and stare at Seidaton once in a while. So why were these 3D people bringing all their problems to me? Why did this keep happening? As I forgot all about Fess and the swords and was happily returning to the base. I ran into a pair of men who looked out of place, just 50 meters or so from home. I tried to avert my gaze and avoid them, but one of them was clearly looking directly at me. Hey you, can we talk for a minute? The one who spoke to me was first an unimpressive looking middle-aged man, the kind you might see at a betting track. His hair was a mess, and he had stubble on his chin. His suit was tattered, and his necktie wasn't tied right. His leather shoes showed no sign of ever being cleaned, and he just looked like an overall loser. For some reason, he was waving a cheap 100 yen paper fan at himself, which only added to the impression that he was one of life's losers. He had a dopey look on his face too, a really stupid looking grin. But when I met his gaze for a second, I saw no traces of that stupid grin reflected in them. There was nowhere to run. As I stood there, unsure of whether or not to answer, the two of them walked over to me. Here. This is my ID. He took out a black notebook with an ID on the flap and showed it to me. It was a police notebook, like he saw on TV shows. They'd finally come for me. There was the only reason I could think of. The crucified killing. Can we talk for a minute? Of course. You don't have to if you don't want to. Oh, don't get so tense, really. I just want to ask a few questions. There's absolutely no pressure in his voice, but the other detective with him, the younger one, had a stern look on his face, and I quietly moved to block my path. I started to sweat. If I said the wrong thing here, they might think I was the killer to arrest me. Please, no. I gave up on running and nodded very slightly. So, have you heard of the so-called New Generation Madness? I knew it. I wiped the sweat off my brow and nodded. Then, of course you know about the third case, right? Crucified? It happened nearby. We're looking for witnesses. No. Can I get your name? I gulped. Was this whole thing a Kome's trap? Maybe they were just pretending to be police, trying to get me to reveal my private information so they could use it for something bad. Or maybe they were working with a demon girl? No. You don't want to answer? There was no way to be sure either way. What should I do? If I give them a fake name, they might arrest me. No, you're worried about the Protection of Personal Information Act? Do I look that sketchy? Yes. You do. That friendly way you're talking to me is just an act, right? Talk to me, Nishijo. In the end, I couldn't come up with any brilliant plans to talk my way out of this, so I decided to just tell them the truth. Takumi Nishijo, is that right? I nodded. Really? Huh? What the hell did that mean? I was nice enough to give you my real name. Why are you reacting like that? Excuse me. I forgot that I said that. His laugh was a little too loud to be real. It echoed throughout the quiet street. I want to go home. So I see from your uniform that you're a student at Suime. What year are you in? Did I have to tell him that too? Second. Sorry. I couldn't hear you. I'm getting cold. My hearing's still going. Can I get you to say that again? Second year. Second year. Got it. Thanks. So, Nishijo, I want to ask you where you were and what you were doing between 6 and 10 p.m. on the 29th of last month. Was this one of those alibi things? Did they suspect I'd done it? No way. No, we don't think you did it or anything. Just if you were in the area when the crime took place. We were wondering if you would saw anyone suspicious or heard any weird sounds. Things like that. The way he talked was starting to really make me mad. Maybe it was some kind of special technique he used to anger the people he was talking to. But I had seen someone suspicious. I got a clear look at them. I wasn't sure if it was safe to tell him, though. What if I did and the demon girl came after me? For now, she seemed to be leaving me alone, but she had a shogun with her, and he could see the future. She must have all kinds of crazy powers herself. It was the only explanation. If I told the police about the demon girl, she might find out about it with her clairvoyant powers, and then she might come to kill me. So, Nishijo, is it that hot out today? My pulse quickened. If I didn't answer, they were sure to think I was the criminal. But it felt like if I said I hadn't seen anything, they'd see right through me. Then I waved his fan at me. Cool air ruffled my hair. It's autumn now, not summer. It shouldn't be hot enough to make you sweat. Well, I guess everyone's different. It was strange to hear that from a man who carried a fan around, but he was right. It wasn't that hot today. It was a pleasant temperature, if anything. I have to wave the sweat from my brow with my sleeve. I didn't do it. No. His eyes changed. I knew I'd screwed up. I didn't know how. What didn't you do? He suspected me. I had to tell him. I stared at the cover of the manhole near my feet as I yelled. I saw it. There was a girl at the scene of the crucified killing. Her hands were all bloody. She was in front of the body. There were all these stakes pounded into it. There had to be over 500. It was crazy. The body looked like a porcupine. She looked at me and said, "I'm so glad," and she smiled. The girl's a demon. She's not even human. The Nuchan killer is something beyond human. She could see the future, and she has all these powers. Only then did I realize the two detectives were looking at me with their mouths wide open in shock. Maybe they didn't believe me, and they fell silent again. Demon, huh? I see. That's good. Solid evidence. Really? Oh, sweetie, no. Yeah, I totally understand. This is really valuable. But please, have the police protect me. First, do you know how old she is? What was she wearing? What her face looked like? Suime. Suime? You mean Suime Academy? She wore a Suime uniform. So, she's a student at your school? He thought for a moment, and then grinned. It was hard to tell if his next words were a question or a whisper. What year would you say she was in, this girl? What year do you think she was in, Nishijo? I don't know. Alright. What do you think her name is? I don't know. I don't know the demon girl's name. How about her height? Wait. Oh, what about her underwear measurements? Who was this guy? Was he making fun of me? How the hell would I know any of that? I don't have the magic power of determining a girl's measurements just by looking at her, like the hero of some harem manga. I see. If you're not answering, it means you don't know, right? That's fine, just fine. Thanks for your cooperation. I'm going to have to take this back to the station and consider it. Really? The older detective made a motion with his hands to silence the younger one, and shot him a meaningful glance. No, Nishijo. Can we get your number? Huh? Why? And they didn't believe me after all. They thought I was crazy. They were gonna accuse me of doing it. Well, there's that, demon? Was it? He did protect you from her, right? Oh, I see. Good. They believed me. I feel so much better to the police for protecting me, of course. Maybe the police couldn't do anything about a demon, but it was better than being all alone. Feeling a little relieved, I took out my new phone and showed the detectives the number. The younger one copied it down. Thanks for your time. The police will make sure you're safe, so don't worry about a thing. Also, we might call if we have more questions, alright? Make sure you pick up, okay? Right now, you're an important person to us. Huh? Your testimony is a big clue. It might help us solve this case. See you later. The two of them bowed and quickly left. The younger one was looking back at me and whispering something to his partner. The older one was walking quickly, ignoring him. I let out a deep sigh. Wow, that was nerve-wracking. I'd never been interrogated by a real police officer. It was pretty scary, but they seemed to believe me. Maybe. I hoped the police would catch the demon woman. But everybody said the police were incompetent, right? So I shouldn't get my hopes up too much. Only then did I notice how thirsty I was, so I bought a bottle of soda from a nearby vending machine. Speaking of, hello, Doc K.
Ugh,
the post-awakening costume is so hot. You can totally see her panties. I like that though. Of course you do, buddy. Her face is so cute. It's not quite like the anime, but it's every bit as sexy as you expect from Yoshio Kijima. Good job, man. Short for good job. Slang used by 2000s era Japanese otaku. Oh, wow. Her jacket can cast off too. From this angle, she looks practically naked. Yahoo! Oh boy. The way her hair seems like it's moving is great. The hair is what really makes the post-awakening version special. I always thought, and I was right. Now, it's finally time for the panties. Let me see. They obviously put a lot of effort into designing the V-zone. The way it wrinkles is very realistic. Not that you would know. Oh, who's this? Agrees? Well, this is awesome. Truly, Takasugi quality. He doesn't know what that area looks like, but good for you, buddy. Anyways, Takasugi, a Japanese internet expression meaning too high. Takasugi. Yeah, that makes sense. This particular expression is a complicated kanji pun of the type that was popular on internet message boards in the mid-2000s, and has long since fallen out of fashion, however, and attempts to use it in modern-day Japan would likely be met with bewilderment. I see. I think the fifth Seira figure might turn out to be the greatest of them all. I don't think they could make a better one, really. Kichima's a true master. I carefully placed my new Seira next to the PC monitor. Seira, you're so sexy. Just looking at her made me grin. This was a moment of pure joy. I logged onto @chan to share my thoughts on the Seira figure. When that was done, I checked my email and looked at Para to see if I had any new friend requests. Oh, someone sent a friend request. Who's this guy? Somebody from the Seira community? Okay, got it. Sure thing. And just then I was ready to log into ESO. I felt a prickling on the back of my neck. It was the same intense gaze that I always felt. Sonome no Tarenome. Sonome Tarenome. There we go. Damn it, not now. Yes, now. When did I first start feeling that gaze? I'd totally forgotten it by now. But it kept getting in my way. A lot of things were happening that would interrupt my daily life. But the gaze was right up there with none of me being obnoxious. Okay, time to play that game again. Time to play the I'm not turning around that easily game. I kept my eyes locked on the computer monitor and tried to think of a cool line. You there. Come out. Did you think you could deceive my eyes, fool? Wow, you found me. Of course I did. I wouldn't say I had to tell you not to stand behind me. Huh? Did I just hear a girl's voice? I froze. Had the owner of the gaze finally shown herself? Was that possible? Should I turn around and see who she was? But what if she attacked me as soon as I did? She sounded pretty cute. But if she was a terrible monster? No, if she was a monster, she might be getting ready to attack me right now. If I didn't turn around, I wouldn't even realize I was dead. Should I try saying something else to see if she answered? It could have been just a delusion, or maybe I've been hearing things. You know, like I always hear my Seira figure talking to me, like that. I try to say who's there, but I cut myself off. It wouldn't be smart to say anything to set her off, right? I might provoke her into attacking me. I was seeing so many awful things in my delusions that I couldn't move. What should I do? Maybe I was just being an idiot. If there was nobody there, and I was just sitting in my chair scared to death of my own delusions, I'd look like the world's biggest moron. Taku? Did you freeze up? It wasn't a delusion. I wasn't hearing things. There was someone deep behind me. Shocked, I turned around. Hello there. It was the demon girl. It was the girl I'd seen during the crucified killing. She was right there, sitting on my sofa. For some reason, she was grinning as she looked at me. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. She was here to kill me at last. It was because I talked to those cops. She used her clairvoyant powers to see me doing it remotely. And now she'd snuck into my room without making a sound, so she could watch me cry and scream and beg for mercy before she killed me. I knew it. Don't kill me, I tried to scream, but I was too scared to get the words out. Da 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 da. She stared at me, head tilted, recited a strange spell. She must be speaking of the demon language. She's gonna curse me. I tried to hide under my desk to put as much distance between us as I could, but I was panicking so much that I hit my head with the edge instead, and crumbled to the ground in pain. What are you doing, Taku? That was a really loud noise you just made. Bang. She still had a happy smile on her face. But it was just a trap to get me to drop my guard, and I was sure of it. The second I let my guard down, she would come for me. Maybe that spell a second ago had cursed me. In a few days, my body would start spouting blood from all its pores and then I'd die. Please. Don't kill me. I curled up into a little ball on the floor, cursing the detectives I'd met earlier. I'm sorry that I told the police. The police. And I don't think they actually believed anything I said. It was just a lie I told to buy time. The detectives had said they'd protect me. If that older guy was doing his job right, he truly sent an officer to protect me. Then I realized. I told the officer my phone number, but I hadn't given him my address. Snap. Huh? She suddenly struck a pose, like she was out of tension. And then even more strange, she made the sound effect of a hand flying up to attention with her mouth. Was this another demon spell? You're not talking to yourself. Kill you? Police? I don't know what you're going on about. She didn't know. Was this some kind of joke? Or was this her way of telling me to forget that anything had ever happened? What was this girl thinking? How did she come here to kill me? Come on, can you stand up? Give it a try. She got up from the sofa and offered me a hand. Her expression looked so kind and up close. I could tell that she was pretty cute. Wait, what had gotten into me? She was a demon. She wasn't pretty cute. She was a murderer. She used you and Shogun to try and set me up. And now she was here to kill me herself. I couldn't let myself believe her. I learned my lesson with Yua. I'll never make the same mistake again. I didn't take the hand she offered me. I couldn't let her smile fool me. It was a demonic temptation, and if I gave into it, I'd die. Don't believe in anything. Don't listen to anything anyone says. But I saw you. I saw you killing someone. Taku, do you realize that you're saying something pretty mean? It's hard to believe you're calling me a killer. What was she doing here? New gen. Like the other 4 times. You're gonna kill me, right? Or are you going to take me to where you and Shogun are waiting? Yua? Shogun? Who's that? Maybe the 3 of them were gonna work together and kill me when I was helpless. Please. No. Don't hurt me. Okay. If you promise not to treat me as a murderer, I won't hurt you. I knew it. Come on. Stop being so scared. You're really trying to make me feel depressed, aren't you? Please. I'll never tell anyone, so let me go. Hello, Taku. Calm down a little. She kept calling me Taku, like we were friends. How did she know my name anyway? She'd known my name when we'd first met at the scene with Crucified. How? And how did she know where the base was? Of course I know. The reason I know your name is... She read my mind. She had magic clairvoyant powers. I knew it. That's how she found my name and address. Taku, you talk to yourself a lot. I've always thought this, but... Always? Since when was always? Wait, was I talking to myself? I couldn't tell. Really? Was I really talking to myself? Or was it possible she was lying? Or was it possible she read my mind? Of course I know your name, Taku. I'm not that good at remembering things, but... I can remember my friends' names. Friend? Or is this your way of saying I'm stupid? I mean, I don't get very good grades on my tests, sure. But it kind of hurts to hear it to my face. Was she crazy? Wait, how could I be sure she was the crazy one? Was I crazy? Or was she? Maybe... transfer student? Oh, yeah. There's a transfer student coming soon. Mr. Sukachin was talking about it. We were talking past each other. The fear that I could be killed at any moment was starting to fade. Both of y'all seem pretty fucked up, to be honest. Yeah, they're both a little crazy as a treat. But instead, another type of fear was slowly working its way through my heart. Hello? Don't tell me you still don't believe me. This is a little crazy. Give him some time, whatever your name is. I'm gonna stand up and stretch for a minute. Hang on. It's always so annoying when my chair, it's like, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna be comfortable right now. Who are you? She was the demon girl. Murderer. Wow, you don't even remember the face of your own classmate? That's really mean. We're classmates? Not just friends, but classmates? Oh well. I guess you don't come to school that often anyway. Still, it's kind of neat to just pretend I never existed. Did you really forget about me? You didn't, right? You know who I am, right? You. No. Me. 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 That's right. Correct. You win a prize of 50 yen. Wow, 50 cents. So rich. Huh? It's me, Rimi Sakihata. You do remember. Good. Why? Was it true? Was the demon girl's name really Rimi? Why had that name just come to me all of a sudden? Why did I know who she was? Had I just forgotten? And we really were classmates? Friends or something? No, that was impossible. I never even heard the name Rimi Sakihata. It had to be a fake name. I'd said Rimi, and she just played along with it. This is all just part of her game. Only a 3D girl I knew who would talk to me like this was Yua anyway. And Yua worked for her. In a flash, I suddenly understood. The Sakihata girl was using the same trick Yua had used. She was being all friendly, knowing that I wasn't used to talking to 3D girls, then she set me up for her trap. Of course, I didn't remember the faces of all my classmates, and I wasn't interested in trying. But I was sure I'd never seen her in my class. Wasn't I? No, I couldn't be sure. Every minute I spent at school, I spent at my desk, either enjoying delusions while pretending to sleep, or staring at the desk or pretending to read a textbook. I didn't remember any of my classmates' names. I never cared enough. What about Misumi? You remember his name? Liar. Which was it? What was this girl... Blah, blah, blah. Was what this girl was saying true? No, it didn't matter whether or not she was a classmate. The only thing that was true was that she was a murderer.
もしかして
Are you telling me you really can't remember?
さっき
Did hitting your
頭
head
を打ったせい
just
で
now give
記
you
憶喪失にな
amnesia?
っちゃった
The demon girl reached out a hand toward my head. I ran under the desk again to dodge it.
たく
Taku,
変だよ
you're being really weird.
じゃあ
Okay,
大地に聞いて
ask
みて
Daichin then.
そしたらタクも
Maybe
思
then
い出
you'll
せるかも
remember. Daichin? What the hell was that? A person's name? Some kind of code? A demon spell?
大地だよ
You know
大地
Daichin.
ミス
Daisuke Misumi. Huh? She knew Misumi's name, and she called him Daichin. You wouldn't do that unless you were pretty friendly with him.
うーんと
Here,
ちょっと待ってね
hang on. She went over to the bag next to the sofa. And it was the one that I owned, and took out her phone. Okay,
大地
where's Daichin's number?
とよし OK
Found it!
はい
Here. She tapped it a few times and handed it to me. When I didn't take it, she chuckled and grabbed my hand. Well,
ほら
come
黙
on,
ってないで
don't freeze up. She forced the phone into my hand. The demon girl's hand was soft and a little cold. I was expecting it to be as cold as ice, but it wasn't. I guess even murderers have warm blood running through their veins. Actually, it was a more girly hand than I expected, so my heart started to race a little. No, I couldn't let her fool me. She was a demon. I couldn't let her tempt me. I wasn't into 3D girls. Seira-san, give me power.
たく
Taku,
携帯使ったこと
have you
な
never
いの
used a cell phone?
電話機
Put
は
it up to
耳
your
に当て
ear.
るんだよ
She was so close to me, staring. She took my hand and brought it up to my ear. I looked at the phone's LCD screen. The phone said Daichin on it, and it showed that it was already calling him. I put the phone up to my ear. I could hear the sound of the ringing. But then the sun cut off, and instead I heard Misumi's voice. Hello? Oh. The person on the phone didn't give their name. They must have been outside somewhere downtown, because I could hear the hustle and bustle of a crowd around them.
なんか用か
You need something?
リミ
Rimi? Rimi Sakihata. Misumi knew her? No, that wouldn't be that surprising. Misumi was an actual born lady killer. I wouldn't be surprised if he dated her before, or even if he was dating her right now. And the question remained, was the demon girl my classmate?
たく
Taku,
大地出た
did Daichin answer? She was staring at me again. Damn it, why did she have to be so close to me? I turned my back to her and spoke into the phone.
僕
It's me,
西条
Nishijo. No, it's you, Taku. Are you with Rimi? But why didn't he find it surprising at all? It almost sounded like he expected us to be together. Rimi got you doing something crazy again? You got it rough too, huh? But can I give you one piece of advice? You need to buy your own damn phone. Was the person on the end of this line really Misumi? It was possible that she was just having me call somebody with a voice similar to his to fool me. The person with the Misumi-like voice was working for her, maybe, and was trying to trick me. I was starting to get suspicious of everything. I didn't know what was the truth and what was a lie. Assuming the demon girl was willing to put in the time and effort to set up a trap like that, what kind of trap was it, specifically? Wouldn't it be faster for her to just kill me here? Or was there some reason that I had to be deceived, even if it meant to doing so in a really roundabout way? Wait, could it be some kind of trick Misumi was setting up? This girl was his girlfriend and not a classmate at all, but someone he'd sent out just to make fun of me. No, wait, not a chance. How would you explain the crucified murder then?
でタク
So, Taku,
なんか用か
what do you want?
俺としては
I really don't like getting calls from guys, you know? That certainly sounded like me to me. The more I heard them talk, the less likely it seemed that the person I was talking to could be anybody but Misumi.
女の口説き方でも教え
You
ても
want
ら
me
え
to
ない
teach you
の
how
か
to pick up girls?
なわけねえか
Nah, of course not. I wasn't sure where to start. I could feel someone looking at me from behind me. The girl was staring at me. And the prickling on the back of my neck was still there. What kind of face was she making? I wanted to look back and see, but I was too scared.
で
So, what is it?
今俺
I'm with a girl right now. Make it quick.
身近にいたのは
その
Well,
なんだよ
what is it? Come on, spit it out.
うちの
Or... Yeah?
クラス
Class.
もううちの
What about our class?
いる
There's...
何が
There's what there?
女子
A girl?
あ
Huh?
さ
A girl
先畑
named
って名前の
Sakihata. I was stammering really badly, but I finally managed to explain to him. He suddenly fell silent. There was no answer. But I could still hear the bustle of the crowd, so he hadn't hung up. Why wasn't he answering? I heard a massive sigh.
お前さ
Listen, did you play too many video games and break your brain? Gaming brain. Some studies have shown that when a person plays video games, the amount of beta waves their brain emits drops precipitously. The idea of gaming brain, or games causing brain damage, assumes that prolonged exposure to this state can cause emotional control and reasoning ability, can harm. I can read. This theory was widely reported by the media, and was for a time considered a serious social problem. However, there are questions about the reliability of the methods used to make these brainwave readings, and some have called the theory into doubt. Interesting.
ちょ
Hey. What was he talking about? And anyway, it wasn't true that the video games damage your brain.
それって
I'm talking about Amy, right?
リミの携帯で
What kind of stupid question is that? Especially since you're calling on her cell phone.
わかっ
Okay, I get it.
お前もしか
Rimi put you up to this, right?
指図され
Is that a prank?
いたずら
Some kind of
か
game?
じゃあリミに伝えといて
Tell this to Rimi, then.
お前の手
I'm not stupid enough to fall for your dumb games.
本当
Really? Hmm?
何が
Really what?
本当に
Is she really your
ク
classmate?
お前な
Listen.
たまにしか学校
Did you
来ない
just
から
forget since you never come to school?
俺はともかく
I only joined her class this year, but she's been in your class since the start of school.
この前だって
The three of us went to see a movie just the other day. I couldn't understand what this Mizuki-like person was saying. The demon girl and I had been in the same class the whole time. The three of us went to see a movie the other day. When was the other day?
俺がお前とダチになった
The only reason you and I are friends is because Rinami introduced us.
俺と同じで
She's a weirdo like me.
だからよニートのお前を
The only people in this whole wide world who actually care about you are me and her.
くらいだぜ
No,
それはいいぜ
maybe that's going too far. Not a single one of those words coming through the phone felt real. How could they? None of the things he was describing existed in my memories. I couldn't accept that they never happened. What this Misumi-like person was telling me wasn't true. It wasn't real. And something really happened, you remembered it.
っていうかリミってマジで
Rumi could sometimes be pretty unladylike. Oh, don't tell her I said that.
君は
Who are you?
おいおい
Did you really go crazy? You even forgot me
ここ
too?
まで忘れ
Too many video games must have scrambled. I couldn't take anymore, so I hung up the phone. I suddenly realized that I was having trouble breathing. The sweat coming off my brow showed no signs of stopping. If anything, it was getting worse. I could feel the dripping off at me and to landing on the ground below. Taku, you're sweating really bad. The demon girl looked genuinely worried as she handed me a handkerchief. It was a cute red one with no pattern on it. The handkerchief had a slightly floral scent. I didn't take it. Instead, I tried to get straight in my head what was going on. It didn't work, though. I just started getting suspicious of everything. So what did Daichin say? She sighed in slight disappointment as she put away the handkerchief before a victorious smile crossed her face. It was as if she'd known the answer from the start. I didn't have the strength to answer her. Who was this woman? Just my classmate? Or a monster? I didn't know. Maybe I was just crazy. Thinking back to my chat with Shogun, I couldn't be sure that somebody wasn't controlling my body. Or maybe there was some kind of accident that took my memories of this Tsunami Sakihara girl away from me, left my other memories intact. What the hell was wrong with me? Amnesia? Sleepwalking? Something else? You okay? If it hurts, wanna lay down on the sofa a while? The demon girl spoke kind words to me. I need to be especially careful around someone who said kind words to me. Anybody who'd be nice to a creepy otaku like me definitely had some kind of an ulterior motive. I shook my head no, and then forced myself to look up. The sweat got on my eyes and made my vision blurry. Her face was closer than I thought it would be. What color were her eyes?
なんで
Why? What?
ここにいる
Why are you here? Why? Because I came to see you. Are you mad that I didn't get permission first? But that's your fault for not answering. I knocked for quite a while, you know. I handed back the phone. As I watched her take it, I asked again.
なんで
Why? Now what?
ここにいる
Why are you here? Why had she visited me? If she came here to kill me, why wasn't she doing anything? Oh, the reason I came? Well... Her hand went to her bag, and she took out a handout. Hello? I brought you the handout for your post-graduation plans. I took it from her. It said post-graduation plans, with her blocks down for the first preference, second preference, and third preference. Was that really it? Was that the only reason?
帰ってよ
Go away. She's so sad. I didn't want anything to do with her. It was a terrible idea to get involved with 3D girls. This is some kind of trap. Don't listen to her. This isn't real. This is a video game. A really buggy game. Look at all these weird plot contradictions. It doesn't make any sense as a story.
僕に
Just leave me alone. If you're not here to kill me, then just go away. I'm me, not somebody else. Maybe some other me was friends with Rumi Sakihara, but that had nothing to do with the real me. I put my head in my hands and closed my heart to the outside world. I shivered, trying to imagine a delusion where the girl named Rumi Sakihara wasn't in my room. I soon heard the sound of the door opening, which told me that the demon girl had left. Exciting. I'm gonna take a quick moment to bathroom. But yes, let me do a quick save actually, just in case stuff goes stupid. Like, I don't think stuff will go stupid, but you know, just in case. But yeah, I will be right back. Wee. Stuff goes stupid while you're in the bathroom? Never. I mean, I'm not on GeForce now, so there's no need to worry about anything timing out. But yeah, I'll be right back. Don't go too crazy. That's for the game, not you. I return. I am kind of wondering where everyone else is, though. Like, I know it's Saturday night, but, like, it's also Saturday night, you know? Oh, well. It's gonna be their confusion next week when they check in, right? Oh, well. It be that way. The only light in the dark room was the pale blue glow of the monitor. It was a screensaver featuring Sarah, a character from Bloody Toon the animation. Rimi Sakihata had been here in this container house just a half a day ago, but now its only occupant was its owner, Takumi Nichijo. Can you talk like a normal person, please? It was getting close to 5 a.m. Oh, thank God it's not that late for us. Takumi's daily life revolved around playing video games until dawn, and then passing out on the sofa. Right now, he was curled up in a cramped position on the sofa. He didn't sleep on the bed. He had one, but he didn't sleep in it because it was piled too high with CDs and manga volumes. At first, he'd just been too lazy to clean it off, and then at some point, it began to function as a storage shelf. Ever since then, he'd been sleeping on a two-person sofa. An awful moan slipped from Takumi's lips. His body was soaked with sweat, and his eyelids were twitching. He might have been having a nightmare. His expression warped with pain. He kept tossing and turning as he lay there, almost falling off. Suddenly, his eyes opened wide, and he stared at the ceiling. His eyes were bloodshot, and the eyeballs themselves seemed to be twitching a little. He stood up without blinking even once and staggered over to his PC. He didn't sit down. Instead, he moved the mouse while standing up. The screensaver on his monitor disappeared and was replaced by his desktop. His expression, illuminated by the pale light of the monitor, was vacant and empty. His body trembled and shook from side to side. Drool pooled and fell out from his mouth. He looked exactly like the typical sleepwalker. He opened up his internet browser in a trance and went to the page for @chan. His movements were slow and uneven, but there was no hesitation in his hands as he went directly for the new board's new gen threads. There were almost 60 in all, and Takumi opened every single one. His gaze was locked out on the screen, and he was typing on the keyboard without looking down at it. He typed a message into each of the 60 threads. The messages he typed were short ones, and the same message was posted in every thread. Sono me dare no me. Shogun. So he was sleepwalking. The next day I headed to the hospital. Last time I hadn't been able to get the assurance I wanted, but today, I was gonna make them tell me I was sane. I was gonna have the doctor remember me. I was gonna tell him that I was his patient until 4 years ago, and then I was gonna have him listen to everything I had to say. I wasn't the crazy one. It was the demon girl in Misumi. I knew that's what he would tell me. This hospital opened at 8, earlier than a lot of them. That's why I decided to come right on time. Only to find the lobby sofas packed with old people. How? How could there be this many people here when it just opened? Had they all cheated and got here before it opened somehow? That's not fair. I was angry, but I didn't have any choice but to wait. It was after an hour of waiting that I realized I should have made an appointment. Very shortly after, they called my name, and I was relieved to see that I wouldn't have to wait as long as last time. But the doctor waiting for me in the exam room wasn't Dr. Takashina, but a white-haired old man I'd never seen before. Where's Dr. Takashina? The nurse standing behind him, Hazuki, I think, answered apologetically. Dr. Takashina isn't here. Isn't here? He collapsed from overwork last weekend. He's been out the whole week.
今週はそれでずっと休みだよ。
No, no, my one ally. Wait, was it really overwork that made him collapse?
陰謀だ。
It's a conspiracy.
悪魔女の
It's the demon girl.
陰謀だ。
Nishijo? She must have poisoned his food or sent him a threatening letter to stress him out. It was the demon girl's doing. She was trying to isolate me. I had no intention of letting anybody but Dr. Takashina talk to me, so instead of getting an exam, I fled from the hospital. Damn it, doll. I leaned up against the fence on the roof and looked up at the sky. Shibuya sky was an ugly color.
病院にはも
I
う
should stay away from that
行かな
hospital
い
from
方が
now
い
on.
い。
The demon girl's net was closing in on me. Maybe there's nowhere for me to run. Maybe that detective I met yesterday was actually a fake and working for her. Maybe she used him to test me. I mean, the timing was just too good to be a coincidence. She showed up in my room right after the two of them had approached me. She was a demon after all. She wasn't human. She could easily control somebody's mind. I didn't have any proof of this, of course, but I also didn't have any proof that she wasn't a demon. So I just had to assume the worst if I was going to survive. Wasn't there anybody on my side? Everybody felt like my enemy. Everybody felt like they were working for the demon girl.
助けて。
Save me.
誰か
Somebody
助けて
save
よ。
me. Why didn't I have anybody on my side? Why was no one helping me? Why did this have to happen to me? I felt so lonely. I wanted something to support me. Someone to protect me. Something to protect me. Anything. Anybody who could offer me help. And I thought back to Fess, to Yase Kishimoto, and what she told me when I met her at school. I've been too busy with my delusions to hear it, but Misumi had told me she'd said this. Find the sword and salvation awaits.
剣。
The sword. If this was a video game, the plot would probably involve me being a hero who needed to find a legendary sword to defeat a demon king. Oddly enough, I heard the word sword from the two 3D girls lately. And there was still a chance that Fess was on my side. Girl B, Senna, I think, was likely on the side of the demon girl from the way she acted, though. The sword.
剣だ。
Sword.
剣を手に入れ
Get
るん
the
だ。
sword.
そ
And
うすれ
then...
ば。
I whispered to myself as if I was in a trance. I was willing to cling to any hope now, no matter how small. If I could just get the sword, I would be released from this nightmare. I didn't know that for sure, but I had to hope. I didn't 100% believe Fess when she said it would bring me salvation, but I didn't have any other options. I decided to just look into it and see what I found. I ran a search online. First, I checked to see if there were any anime where characters had swords like the one Fess and Senna had, but I didn't find any. I mostly seen that coming. I always kept an eye on upcoming anime. There were 30 or 40 each season, so it was pretty hard, but I always watched the first episode of each series, and then decided if I was going to continue it. Damn, just one episode? He didn't even give them the respect of the 3-episode rule. And of course, I could watch anything that was satellite TV using YouTube. So there was no way I could have missed one. And I haven't seen any anime with weird swords, especially ones with such a distinctive shape. I would have been sure to remember them if they'd showed up, and I didn't remember seeing anything like them at all. Unless, of course, I've been controlled by someone else when I watched the show. Next, I decided to search for the sword themselves, not an anime.
くそ。
Crap,
ほとんどがゲ
it's
ーム
all
の攻
video
略サイ
game
トじゃんか。
walkthrough sites. Some of the swords that came up in the results were ones I recognized well. Like ESO's Shangri-La hedge. I wasn't getting anywhere. I need to find that sword and fast. I had a feeling that that Senna girl had said something more specific. What was it? Remember he'll be stuck in this nightmare forever.
答えろ
Answer me.
見えるんだな
And you can see it, right?
ディソードが
The D sword.
D
D sword. Right, the D sword. I searched for that word. And I got hits. Just 2. But these 2 links felt like the path that would save me. Desperately trying to calm my excitement, I decided to click on the top one first. Shit, I was down. Damn it, why did it have to be a dead link? No, I need to calm down. I just had to go back and click on the cached version. The page had an illustration. It was based off of a descriptor in old text, supposedly. Delusional ideal sword. Interesting.
元ネタは伝承か
So it's from some old legend. Oh shit. I should have read some of that
でも
before it
セナ
scrolled
って女が
down.
持ってたのに比べ
Damn
る
it.
と
Mistakes.
こっちは随分
Yeah, I don't think I can go burn.
地味だな
Damn. It's not nearly as cool looking as the one that Senna girl had. Why did it have to be such a minor weapon anyway? Why can't it be Excalibur or the blade of Kizanagi or something else big and famous? No, this isn't the time to complain. Whether it was famous or not, if it was gonna save me, I didn't care. I decided to look into it a bit more. Let's try the second link on the search page. The phrase, I bought a D-sword stood out to me. Could you buy D-swords? The author was evidently a man, which meant it wasn't the demon girl or Senna. I bought a D-sword. I bought a sword. It's called a D-sword, I heard. I just love how freaking weird it is. Town Vanguard is my heart's oasis. These days, you don't see many stores as weird as that place outside of Akihabara. But Akihabara's shops really aren't my style. It's either computer parts or porn with those guys. And that's not me, you know? There used to be so many cool, weird places in Shibuya. But you can't tell my age from me saying this. But they all disappeared as time went on. And they certainly didn't have the same writing style as Shogun. Either they were a different person entirely, or the person writing the blog was deliberately disguising their writing style. Person inside. This often used to refer to the voice actor of a character in an anime or game. Can also sometimes be used to refer to the staff of a company or organization. The term is also said to come from a line in a certain famous manga that goes, "There's no person inside." The Kaimaitachi phenomenon. An extremely rare phenomenon where what looks like blade cuts will suddenly appear on the skin. The Kamaitachi is a legendary wind monster located in Koshinetsu region of Japan. The monster is said to look like a weasel with sharp sickle-like claws on both hands, which it uses to cut people, causing the aforementioned cuts to appear. The true cause of the phenomenon is not fully understood. Meow. Kamaitachi. And there's no way to tell from here, so I stopped reading. The store the page referred to, Town Vanguard, was evidently in Shibuya. It felt like too much of a coincidence. Or maybe I was being paranoid. Let's see. They disappeared as time went on. Those shops were incredible. How incredible they made Town Vanguard look like a toy store for your little kids. Anyway, enough about the past. Who came up with the name D-Sword anyway? It's pretty big and looks like someone put some time into designing it. But the only reason it could have ended up in a place like Town Vanguard is that the cashier likes that stuff. She even made a special corner for fantasy weapons a while ago. It's got stuff like fake-ass looking lightsabers and light-up shurikens. Oh my. Maybe the reason I run into two girls carrying these swords in Shibuya was the place selling them was here. Weird things got popular with small subgroups of people here in Shibuya all the time, right? I searched for Town Vanguard, but I couldn't find the store's page. I did find a page of the map, so I downloaded it. If they didn't have a public page, they probably didn't have an online store either. I searched the Taboo auction site too, but didn't find anything. I'd have to go to the store directly to see for myself. I didn't really want to leave the house, but...
剣は手に入れなくちゃ
I need the sword.
手に入れない
I
とダ
need
メ
to
なん
get
だ
the sword. At this point, I felt like the one good option I had for fighting off the demon girl. I didn't know what exactly I would do once I got the sword, but I didn't have the courage to try to kill her with it or anything. But something inside me made me think that if I got the sword, maybe I'd feel just a little less afraid. And that was it. The D-sword was like a good luck charm. Something to keep me going. There was something strangely compelling about it. The store was somewhere near Cat Street, it looked like. Cat Street was a twisty street that ran alongside Meiji Street, the main connection between Shibuya and Harajuku. I heard once that it was originally a river that got filled in. There was a lot of theories as to why it was called Cat Street. Some said it was because there were a lot of strays there. Others said it was because the street was as narrow as a cat's forehead, a common expression in Japanese. Not that I cared either way. Cat Street was a good destination from here. It would take at least 15 to 20 minutes to get there. A bike would get me there faster, of course, but I didn't have one. I didn't want to go near the station, so I opted to go through Shoto and cut across to Miyashita Park. I walked a little fast across the bridge over Meiji Street. I was finally here. I was in such a hurry that I was starting to get frustrated at how long it was taking. Cat Street was, compared to Center Street, much quieter and felt more like Harajuku than Shibuya. All the stores were selling osare clothes, the kind I never had any interest in. Daishibu. Oh boy. Osare. Japanese net slang meaning hip or fashionable. I like that there's just La Cafe. I could tell I was out of place as I walked down the street, and I got more and more upset. This was totally outside my usual territory. There were a lot more couples than there were in Center Street. I could tell they were all window shopping, trying to show off because they didn't actually have any money. Losers. I almost regretted coming, but I choked those feelings down and told myself that I needed to get the sword. I walked as fast as I could, face glued to the map, trying to avoid making eye contact with the people around me as I headed to my destination. Town Vanguard was down near a side street off Cat Street.
ここか
So this is it. One step down a side street and the whole place felt very different. The alley was narrow, cramped, and dirty, much too small for a car to travel down. The buildings were all old traditional wooden houses, or empty stores with their shutters pulled down, and all the shutters had graffiti sprayed on them too. You see, even if Cat Street looked fancy with its luxury brand storefronts, not all was just fake. This dingy alley was the real Cat Street. Behind the facade, it was nothing but garbage and run-down old buildings. Of course, I didn't like the backside any more than the facade. I wasn't any more at home here than on the main street. I only had one home. Yeah, so. Town Vanguard turned out to be a smaller and gloomier shop than I'd expected. I could tell why the bigger blogger who'd mentioned it had called it underground. There was a sign reading open, but it certainly didn't seem busy. Going inside felt really hard. I was too much of a wimp to go into a fast food place all by myself. How could I go into such a creepy looking place? I wanted to go home. No, I needed the sword. What was I supposed to do? I went back and forth outside the shop for a while. There was absolutely no one else in the dark alley. I spent 30 minutes wandering around, trying to muster up the courage to go in, and not a single soul came by. Many times, I almost felt brave enough to go in, only to give up at the last second. But I couldn't give up and go home empty-handed. This was the only place I could get a D sword. But my instincts weren't willing to let me go inside. I had a delusion where the shopkeeper came out to meet me. Of course, she was a cute maid, and she spoke to me in an anime voice. She knew exactly what I wanted and offered me a D sword with a friendly smile. Please take this sword, master. I could be such a horn dog sometimes. Everything would be so much easier if that happened, I told myself. Maybe my wish was heard by someone, because a 3D girl did come out of the shop. Her outfit wasn't anything like I'd expected, though. It was some kind of ethnic clothing. It looked really flashy, but the girl herself seemed really gloomy. She had long hair done up in an afro, tied up in a bandana with a strange eerie design on it. She said she'd gotten sick of watching me wander around outside her store, and so came out to check on me. My delusion had to become reality. Well, of course, that could never happen. Before I knew it, she dragged me inside the store despite my reluctance. I hadn't even had time to say no. I ended up inside. I'd overcome the first hurdle at least. But what if this store was actually owned by the demon girl, and the whole D-sword thing was a plot to lure me here? I could be killed at any minute. I looked around the dimly lit shop. There were no other customers. The air was stale, and there was a thin haze. It smelled like a mix of cigarette smoke and mold. 5 minutes in here, and I'd probably be ready to throw up. I could see what looked like merchandise, but I couldn't tell if it was for sale or not. It was all placed randomly throughout the store, and to tell the truth, it might have all been garbage. It certainly didn't have the price tags on it. And I realized that after I got inside, there were a lot of adult porno toys too. There were things you saw a lot in rapey style H games. I try not to look at them. This place must have been some kind of adult knick-knack shop. Despite how eager she was to get me inside, once I was past the door, the woman quickly ignored me. She sat down on her stool next to the register and smoked a cigarette. So, this haze is at least partly her fault then. I hadn't even been inside for a whole minute, but a combination of nervousness and embarrassment, as well as how sick I was feeling, was making me sweat hard. I wanted to get out of here as soon as possible. Time to find the D-sword. Fast. I walked toward the back, looking at the shelves as I went. I quickly found the fantasy weapons corner, and the blog I read had talked about. This one part of the store stood out from the rest. There were several toys lined up carefully in a display. The toys themselves all looked cheap. Actually, I realized they were mostly just different colored lightsabers. Some of them were so cheaply made they were obviously fakes. I wasn't even sure if they would even light up. The light-up shurikens that the blog had talked about were sold out, it seemed. That was kind of a surprise. But there was one thing mixed in with the lightsabers that was very clearly different from the others. Just one look at it and I recognized it as a D-sword. It was just like the one I'd seen online. I picked it up. It was lighter than I expected. What was it made out of? Soft plastic? There was no blade. That was just smooth. I ran my fingers across it, and of course it didn't hurt at all. Compared to the ones that Stena and Fest had, it didn't have any weight or complex design. It certainly wasn't sharp. Was it maybe a fake? I was a little worried, but this is the only thing in the shop that could possibly be a D-sword. Did this even light up? The one Fest had been singing around at the concert had some kind of glass embedded in the blade, which had lit up with a pale light. It was pretty cool. There was no glass on this one I was holding. Maybe I should just give up on buying it. This D-sword was such a piece of junk that I was ready to give up, even after coming all the way here. But to find the sword and salvation awaits. I remembered Fess's words. Right, if I didn't buy it here, I wouldn't have any clue as to where to get another one. Maybe it just looked cheap, but when I recognized its rightful owner, it would suddenly transform into something with incredible power. Maybe I just seen too much anime and manga. But Senna and Fess both had D-swords that seemed to possess a strange strength. Maybe this sword would turn out to be the same. What should I do? As I stood there, uncertain, the clerk came up behind me. She grinned a gloomy smile and pointed at the D-sword. 10,000 yen, and I'll throw in a little bonus, she whispered. I was so stunned at how cheap it was that I couldn't believe my ears. I had some decent savings built up for my RMT business. 10,000 yen was cheap enough that all I had to do was pass on buying a single figure. When I heard the price, and also that it was the last one the store had, I bought it immediately. The bonus was a cheap bangle bracelet. Total garbage. The true nightmare began once I bought the sword. Oh boy. Town Vanguard didn't ship. You had to walk home with anything you bought. Oh boy. Even if it was a toy, the idea of carrying this huge sword across the middle of Shibuya was enough to quench any excitement I felt. I already paid though, and the clerk steadfastly refused to return my money. This is going to be incredibly humiliating. I had to walk down some of the most fashionable streets in Tokyo holding a giant toy sword. And of course, the adult-queuing couples and well-dressed ladies all chuckled at me as they walked by. Damn it, I wish they'd all die. I headed home, delusions filling my mind of me swinging the sword wildly and murdering everyone on the street. I was finally home. I started running once I got in close, and I was out of breath by the time I got up to the base. The cold gazes of the people I passed had really stung. I don't know how Senna had managed to endure this humiliation. It was something I could respect in a way. There was no way I could do it. Huh? Suddenly I heard a sound from the other side of the base. Was someone here? I froze and gasped. I remember the smile I'd seen on the face of the demon girl who called herself Remy. Maybe she'd come back. This time, maybe she'd come to kill me. What should I do? Run? I could sense the presence of someone in front of me. The setting sun cast someone's shadow on the ground. It was clearly the silhouette of a woman. I quickly raised my D-sword. Holding it in my hands like this, I realized what a piece of crap it really was. The one Senna had held such a strange power and intensity about it. But mine didn't seem to have anything like that. Maybe it was a fake after all. Could I really fight with this thing? Not a chance. Even if it was real, I couldn't actually fight someone with it. Holding it in my hands, it felt weirdly heavy. Maybe I was holding it wrong. I didn't feel like something that could actually swing like a weapon. The shadow suddenly began to move. It was coming closer. Stay away from me! I closed my eyes, thrusting the sword out in front of me at a random angle. Not that I expected to hurt anybody with it. But I had a faint hope that this sword could maybe, just maybe, help me. But then, nothing happened. My foe didn't say a word. Maybe the D-sword had annihilated the demon girl with a single swing? If so, that would be incredible. Brother, what's that sword? Huh? I opened my eyes, but instead of the demon girl, I saw Nanami. She was looking at me with contempt in her eyes. Nah. The tension drained from my body. I collapsed where I stood.
お前
Don't scare me like that. This is just awful. She was an awful sister. What kind of awful sister likes to entertain herself by scaring her brother? Who the hell did she think she was anyway? This is why 3D girls would always be inferior to 2D ones.
別に脅かして
I
ない
wasn't trying to scare
いつ
you.
もみたいに
I just came to see if you were alive, like I always do. But you weren't here. I had to waste 30 minutes standing here worrying about you. I wasted a lot of valuable time because of you. Brother, you jerk. Worry? She was worried about me? I refuse to be fooled by such an obvious lie. So, where did he go? You almost never leave your room. And you're not picking up your phone either. I left the phone in the base. I knew nobody would call me, so there's no point in taking it. What's that sword anyway? Did you buy it just now? She was staring at the sword, looking a little confused. Oh, I get it. It's some kind of anime toy, right? You really are an otaku. You look ridiculous with that too. You looked so wimpy a minute ago when you were holding it. I'm laughing just thinking about it. I ignored at me and opened the padlock to my room, and then tried to head inside. Hey, don't ignore me.
帰れ
Leave. You know I'm alive, now go home. She was always making fun of me, and did nothing but complain every time she came here. If she really hated it that much, then she'd just leave. I certainly didn't want her here. Listen, I came all this way to make sure you were okay. Would I kill you to show a little gratitude? I even brought you a present. She pouted at me.
お土産
A present? Yep. Mom said to bring it to you. Here. She handed me some mandarin oranges, 10 or so, in a red net bag. It wasn't a great present. I'd eat mandarins if there were any lying around, but they weren't exactly a favorite of mine. Anyway, I want to rest a little before I go, so I'll eat them with you.
帰れ
Go home. I can't believe you. Your little sister is here with a present. She's offering to eat it with you. You should be happy. What was there to be happy about? Why would I want to eat oranges with my little sister anyway? She probably just wanted to eat some herself. She always was a big eater. She used to always eat my food too. We got in fights about it all the time. None of me went inside the base, ignoring my protests. I had no choice but to follow. Got any tea? I'd like something hot. Of course not. I only drink soda. None of me sat down on the sofa and took out an orange. I sat and set the tea sword up against my computer desk. I didn't need the bangle, so I tossed it off into a corner. Huh? What's that? None of me quickly picked it up off the floor. Hey, this is cute. Did you buy this too? It's actually pretty nice, particularly for something you bought. Cute? How? It was a sheep thing. Probably not worth more than 500 yen. Nanami just had terrible taste. I ignored her and took a seat on my desk, grabbing an orange as I did so. Hey, are you gonna throw this away? What? Well, I don't need it. Okay, give it to me then. Huh? You don't mind, right? You're just gonna throw it away. You should act like a real big brother for once, so give your little sister a present. Not a present, it's just some junk you want.
勝手に持ってけば
Fine, take it. Really? Yay. She was certainly easy to please. As soon as I gave the okay, she quickly put the bangle on her arm. Such a cheap little sister, enjoying such a cheap gift. Well, brother, does it look good on me? Not at all. No, okay. Brother, you jerk. gave her a present, right? So why was she treating me like this? What kind of little sister calls her brother a jerk? Most of them? Where did she learn to do that? Go play 100 H games and learn how to behave properly. Jerk. She was smiling too. I was really getting angry. I like this, so I'm not giving it back. Actually, this may be the first time you've given me a present. I guess I'll just have to take good care of it then. Whatever. Nobody asked you to. I didn't even buy it for you. Anyway, you're done, right? So, leave. I'm busy. Don't get in my way. Suddenly, she looked upset. You don't have to be so mean, do you? I haven't eaten my oranges yet, and you haven't given me my tea. I don't have any tea for the likes of you. Grr. She glared at me, shoulders heaving with rage. Eventually, her eyes started to tear up. Fine, if I'm really bothering you that much, then I'll leave. Yeah, go. Nah. Brother, you jerk. I hope you get an orange peel in your eye and go blind. And I'm not giving back this bangle either, jerk. Her high-pitched yell echoed through the room as she grabbed her bag and flew out the door with incredible speed. Phew, at least the storm was finally over. Every time I talked to Nanami, I felt exhausted. Why did she keep coming when she knew how much I didn't like it? Read the room. No? The first melt ended with better results than expected. The increase in the G rate showed only a minor deviation from the initial projections. And the biorhythm control is going well too. A graph which shows the cyclic changes in a person's physical, sensitive, and intellectual states. It's calmly said that on a day when people's biorhythms are high, they're in a good mood and able to focus and perform well. On days when they're low, the opposite occurs. Interesting. Shibuya's G rate is higher than the other areas, and it's especially stable too. And that makes it easier to manipulate, and in addition, it drastically raised the people of Shibuya's biorhythms. Please see the report for the usual of our experiments. You'll be satisfied, I'm sure. It's only natural that you deliver results, given the amount of money and manpower we're offering you. I understand its effectiveness well. My church has found its believers growing exponentially over the past few months. Project NoAH will advance to the next stage then. Will that be alright? What about the code sample? We've secured 3 people, but we're not at a target number, are we? Indeed. We need a minimum of 5. The sample holders are steadily gathering. All that's left is to take them where we need them. I'll leave it in your hands, then. May the divine light save us. Go about your efforts with the utmost caution. Yes, I am aware. Yeah, I think it's time to sleep. I bit back a yawn and looked over at my PC's block. It was showing 5 a.m. I spent the whole night grinding an ESO and hadn't gotten the rare item I wanted. 8 hours of work and nothing. Well, that happened a lot. I looked over the side of my room. Let's try that again. I looked over to the side of my computer desk. The D-sword I'd bought yesterday was still there. It was close enough I could grab it at any time. I hadn't glowed at all, for what it was worth. I was hoping that at some point it would transform into an awesome weapon like the one Senna had. On the monitor, Grimm's avatar had just leveled up. My Night Hero was max level, so he wouldn't level up again. As I rubbed my tired eyes, I wondered if it was time to make a third character after Lizelate. I found myself thinking about experience points. There was something you saw a lot in video games, but the way I saw it, there were experience points in the real world too. When I started at ESO, I'd been a completely clueless newbie, but now I was Space Lord's famous lightning-fast Nightheart, the game's ultimate warrior. So for instance, was it possible that some kind of person inside to me's experience points had been reset somehow? Maybe that's why I've forgotten things that I should have known. Maybe that's where the weird inconsistencies in my memories had come from. Like with Shogun, with the demon girl. Before I lost my experience points, that is, the person inside me, had used the nickname Shogun in chat. Maybe the demon girl, Rimi, had been a big part of my life too, and I wasn't a friendless otaku. No, that was going too far. But maybe before, I had some kind of incredible power that would have let me fight the demon girl. I wondered if I was the only person who could come up with an idea like this. Not that it really seemed that strange to me. Humans can only ever judge things by standards they created for themselves. Did that mean it was possible that I, and not just me, but everybody else in the world was wrong about everything? When I was little, I'd gone to the dentist, and they said to me, "You did a great job not crying when it hurt so much." Back then, I'd felt kind of proud for enduring the pain, like I'd done something special. But looking back, they were probably judging how much pain I was in by looking at how bad the cavity was. But maybe the same level of pain was really bad for some people, but not so much for others. Maybe the way people felt things or sensed things was totally different. Take giving birth, for instance. I've seen a lot of people online, for instance, saying that women could handle the pain, but men couldn't. Or what about marathon runners? Maybe what made them special wasn't their stamina, but the way they can endure pain. Or maybe take S&M. Some people enjoyed receiving pain, and some people enjoyed giving it. Maybe everybody had different ways of experiencing their senses, and different levels that they could endure. Maybe the toothaches and headaches that I sometimes had to put up with were a level of pain beyond what an ordinary person could handle. And if I could pass that pain to them somehow, they die on the spot from shock. All this speculation left me with a selfish delusion that I was somehow special.
特殊な人間か。
So I'm special, huh?
っていう
Nah.
か、
No
何
way.
が大げさな。
I denied it, but I'm sure it was a delusion everybody shared. Every man wants to be the strongest in the world. Everybody wants to think they're special, chosen. They want to believe a dramatic future filled with adventure is waiting for them, like on TV or in the movies. The desire to be a hero, I guess you could call it. It was childish, really, of course. I had that same desire. Maybe it was my destiny in life to defeat the demon girl. Of course, if someone actually told me to do it, I'd have several conditions. I need cheat codes, obviously, like God mode for one thing, or invincibility. I didn't want to be scared or get hurt. Cheat, a term for computer gaming, in its most literal form, to win at something by breaking the rules. In computer gaming, it refers to using tools or other methods to modify game data. Some games in recent years also include cheat modes by default, so calling cheat codes are another method of cheating. So-called. Oop, nope, not that. If I couldn't have that, in other words, if I had to do it right now, I would absolutely refuse. Which meant that, if the person inside me's experience points had been reset, I might be at a big disadvantage. It was almost late today. Maybe staying up till dawn to play games before a school day was a mistake. I had to run to make it in time. When I arrived outside my classroom, I paused to catch my breath. I didn't want to do anything to attract attention from my classmates. Being late was a potentially fatal mistake. If any Dokyuns took an interest in me, my life was over. I slowly walked into the classroom. My head was pointed toward the ground, and I avoided looking at anyone. Of course, I didn't want to give anyone a cheery good morning. I tried to make myself as invisible as possible as I headed for my seat. That was how I always did things. Like usual, I reached my seat without any issues and sat down. I quickly put my head down on the desk. Now I'd be safe for the rest of the homeroom. That's what I thought, until I was lightly tapped on my back.
Yo, Taku.
Hey, Taku. We came to school 3 whole times this week. You're turning into a teacher's pet. Me again. I sighed, but it wouldn't be right to ignore him. I began to raise my head and stopped. Was this Misumi? Really Misumi? 2 days ago, I called him like the demon girl had told me to, but something had been very wrong. He acted like the demon girl was in our class. That was impossible. Maybe the demon girl had brainwashed him. Maybe he'd become somebody else entirely.
Oi, どうした?
Hey, what's wrong? You in sleep mode already? A loud electronic noise echoed through the classroom. I felt a slight vibration near my chest. It was my phone. Damn it, why now of all times? What kind of idiot would call it a time like this? Why was it playing the ringtone when I'd set it to vibrate? Maybe I messed up the settings. Hey, your phone's ringing, Taku. I know that. Should I answer now? But if I did, Misumi would know that I wasn't asleep, and I didn't like answering the phone anyway. If I didn't answer though, it would annoy the rest of my class. Having my phone's ringtone would drown out the rest of the classroom was bad. I needed to stay invisible. This was really bad. Hey, you're not going to answer? Are you actually asleep? But now I missed my chance. I couldn't move. Suddenly, the sound and vibration stopped. It must have gone to voicemail. I let out a sigh of relief, being careful not to let Misumi hear me. I was glad I learned how to set up voicemail. Hey, Taku. Who was that? A girl? It's the girl you were walking home with, isn't it? Is it right? Gosh, shut up. I'm already attracting too much attention because of the phone call. Please just leave me alone. Was Misumi always this annoying? Yes. Yes, he was. He was always too friendly, but he hadn't always been this annoying, right? As far as we've known him, yes, he has.
やめなよ。
Leave him alone. That voice. It was coming from right next to Misumi.
そっとしておいてあげたら。
Just leave him alone, Daichin.
なんだか疲れてるみた
He
いだ
seems
し。
like he's tired. Me too, bestie. She was in this classroom, acting like she belonged here. He was probably up all night playing video games, right? You're too nice to him.
だって大地は
Well, you're an
女の
enemy
敵
to
だし
women everywhere.
そういう
So I'm
人
not
には
nice to
優
you,
しくしま
that's
せん
all. She was talking like she belonged here. She was fitting in, like she belonged here. I was too scared to look up. I didn't want to admit that girl was there. Well, even if you're not nice to me, I know lots of girls who will be.
だから
That's exactly what I'm talking about. If your girlfriend heard you say that, she'd cry.
今の大地
Not that I have an idea who your girlfriend is right now, though.
ほらチャイム鳴
Anyway,
った
the bell rang.
先生来る
The
よ
teacher's coming. Had the demon girl really always been my classmate? No, that was impossible. She wasn't here 2 days ago. Misumi was the only one who talked to me that day. And I hadn't come yesterday. And now she was here today. Had she wormed her way in? How had she wormed her way in, rather? Another homeroom chime rang. Everybody headed back to their seats. I fearfully looked up, trying to see as much as I could without moving my head. I wanted that voice to be a hallucination. And for that to happen, I needed to prove she wasn't in this room. I didn't see her. I didn't see the girl. Maybe it was a hallucination? Missy was in the 5th row. There were 9 rows in all. She wasn't in the seats in front of me. Did that mean she was behind me? But I didn't look back. I couldn't do something that would attract so much attention. Damn it. This was so frustrating. Was she in the room or wasn't she? Schrodinger's Remy? I didn't feel the prickling on my neck. Nobody was looking at me. I couldn't sense anybody's gaze. Was she here? Was she not here? Which? I stared down at my desk, trying to see if I could sense her somehow. Then I heard the sound of a teacher coming into the room. I forgot their name. It was Tsukikachi or Staccato or something, I think. It was the phys ed teacher, and he was a huge meathead. But he didn't yell or do any physical punishment either. If anything, he was the kind of teacher who could take a joke. There was a mild murmur of surprise going up and down the classroom, but I was too busy thinking about the demon girl to worry about it. How the hell was I supposed to sense anybody? This wasn't a manga. Was I just stupid? Yes. We have a transfer student joining us today. The teacher spoke in a whisper, so that was what the fuss was about. Go on, Orihara. Introduce yourself. I couldn't hear the transfer student's voice. Was she really here? And took a quick glance at the front of the room. She's little. Delusion, though. Sure enough, there was a girl there. She was really tiny. She might have been smaller than Nanami. She looked kind of weak and timid, in a moe sort of way. She was pretty cute for a 3D girl, maybe. For some reason there were tears in her eyes, and she was looking down. That wimpy-looking transfer student didn't matter at all. What mattered was Runimi. I had to do something about her. Huh? I heard a voice from the back of the class. Rumi. She started talking. Kozue? You transferred here? Kozue? Who the hell was Kozue? Who was Rumi talking to? No, Sakihata. You know Orihara? Yes. I do. Rumi was talking to the teacher. I was getting even more confused. Couldn't even think straight. The transfer student laughed innocently. I followed you, Rumi. Really? Wow. You're really brave. What? Was Rumi talking to the transfer student? Did they know each other? Was this transfer student a servant of the demon girl too? I froze, unable to do anything but listen to their conversation. Good to see you again, Rumi. You too. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Yeah, a whole lot of fun, maybe. Right? I can't wait. I can't wait. Don't you feel the same way? You do, right? Takumi Nichijo. It seems like Orihara's a little nervous. Alright, we're gonna skip the introductions. The teacher's voice brought me back to my senses. I was so relieved to find out that this was just a delusion. The transfer student was still standing there, timidly, not saying a word. Everyone, this is Kozue Orihara. Make her feel welcome. Orihara, your seat is in the far back row. You can sit down. The transfer student bowed, silently, and started to walk toward me. Her seat would be 4 rows behind me. I thought about pretending to follow her with my eyes as she walked so I could look back and see who was there. But if I did, I stand out a lot. Some Dokyuns might see me and say, "Don't stare at the transfer student just because she's cute," and then they'd try to beat me up. What should I do? Turn around or wait until the homeroom ended? My head drooped as I squeezed my fist tightly. It was no good. I didn't have the courage. If I turned around and saw her...
その人って
Is that person? Huh?
悪い人なの？
A bad person? If they are,
本当に
maybe I really will kill them for you. The transfer student passed by me. I gasped and looked up at her. Our eyes met, but she quickly turned away and passed me by. That voice. It was a delusion, right? Maybe I was under so much stress I was starting to lose sight of the distinction between delusion and reality. In the end, I stayed there trembling in my seat, lacking the courage to look around. I focused on trying to calm my fear of Rimi, who I was so sure was watching me. Homeroom came to an end as I tried to figure out the answers to the new doubts that were rising within my mind. There were 5 minutes until first period started. Misumi was already on his way to the new girl's desk. He was evidently aiming to start hitting on her first day. My other classmates were all curious about her as well. The classroom was a lot noisier than usual. On the surface, it was a peaceful, ordinary day. But to me, it felt like I was in the middle of an enemy camp. My heart was pounding so hard, and wouldn't calm down. My whole body felt tense, and it took a lot of courage just to move a single finger. I was fighting the impulse to turn around, with the knowledge that doing so was suicide.
タク
Taku. My breathing almost stopped. My mind went blank. The voice was right behind me. She was here after all. She was right here.
具合悪そうだけど
You don't look so good.
平気？
Are you okay? Run. Run. I tried to, but my legs were shaking too much to stand up. As I sat there frozen, the demon girl, Rimi Sakihata, came across to my front.
汗びっしょり
You're soaking with sweat.
風邪でもひい
Did
た
you
んじゃ
catch a
ない？
cold? Just like she had did 2 days ago, she sounded worried about me. Just like she had 2 days ago, she offered me a floral-scented handkerchief. I didn't take it in. I said, I wiped the sweat away with my hands.
なんて
Why? Hmm?
何？
What? I couldn't even look at her. I could hear in her voice that she was smiling, though.
ねえね
Hey, hey.
え、さっき
What were you talking about with her? Yumi crouched down and put her hands on the desk, resting her head on them to look at me. She was looking at my face again. I looked away as fast as I could. Damn it. Was she just not going to let me escape no matter what? My heart was about to burst from fear. Somebody save me.
すっごく気にな
I'm
る。
really curious. What was she even talking about? Who was I talking to?
転校生。
The transfer student.
あの子がタクの机
She
の
whispered
横を通る
something to you when
時
she
に
passed by
お
your
前でさ
desk.
ボソボソもしかして
Do you know her?
あの子と知り合い？
Yumi was still smiling. But was I imagining it? Or did her voice sound like she was interrogating me?
タクってリアルの
I thought you
女
weren't
の子に
interested in
興味ないん
real
じゃなかったっ
girls.
け？もしかして
Were you
本当
lying
は興
about
味あ
that?
る？
What do you care? Was she trying to find out my personal information so she could threaten me or something? No, I wasn't into 3D girls. That was something I was always clear about.
じゃあさ
Okay, okay.
私にも
Are you interested
実は
in
興
me?
味あったりする？
A freezing chill ran down my spine. More sweat was pouring down my forehead, even though I just wiped it away. Was that a threat? Or was she telling me to go join her? Or was she trying to act moe and seduce me so she could set me up in a trap? Alarm bells were going off in my mind. I couldn't say another word to the demon girl, or I was doomed. Huh? Taku? I didn't even think about it. I just leapt out of my chair and ran out of the classroom, tripping over the other students' desks as I went. I ran straight up the stairs of the school building onto the empty roof. The girl didn't seem to be following me, but still, I couldn't relax. I decided to crouch down and hide behind something. My knees were shaking. I was amazed I managed to run like this. Maybe that was just a sign of how desperate I'd been. I couldn't take any more of this reality. Even that D-sword I bought turned out to be useless. I couldn't take it to school. It would stand out too much. I'd let my guard down. Well, that was your first mistake, dude. My Miss Me told me that Rumi was her classmate 2 days ago. I thought it was a lie or a delusion. But she'd really become a classmate. There's no sense in trying to figure out how she'd done it. She was a demon after all. She could do things that humans couldn't. Maybe she brainwashed the class. Maybe even all the teachers. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't go to the hospital. Yua had been at cafe. Shogun had found me online. The servants were getting closer and closer to me. They were launching constant psychological attacks too. Maybe I'd do better to just not leave the base. There were too many enemies outside in reality. They were constantly threatening my peaceful life. I looked up at the blue sky, where the white clouds were flying freely, blown by the wind. If only I could be one of those clouds. About 3 hours passed. I spent the whole time silently crouched on the ground. For now, nobody seemed to be following me. Only after that was I able to relax. The problem was, what did I do now? Somebody was sure to come here to eat during lunch. Maybe my best option would be to run out of the school and back to the base during 4th period. It would screw up my schedule, but I didn't have anywhere near the courage I needed if I wanted to go back to class with the demon girl waiting. My bag was still there, but I'd have to forget about it. The only things in it were my books anyway. My most important stuff like my wallet and key were all in my uniform pocket, right? I got worried and double checked. Wallet, key, phone. They were all there. Only then did I remember that someone had called me earlier. It had really freaked me out when it happened. Not as much as when Rumi spoke to me though.
一体誰だ？
Who could it be? Only people who could possibly want to call me out would be my blah 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 blah. Would be my family. It was most likely Nanami, right? She didn't care about whether she was bothering me or not. Who else would know that number? Oh, I've also told it to those detectives. It was then. Maybe I should have picked up. We never did discuss exactly how they were gonna send police officers to guard the base. LCDs displayed to show the number of the person who called. It didn't look like it was Nanami. I noticed I had a voicemail too. Did I recognize that number from somewhere? I had to check my call history. Oh boy. There were only 5 calls there. In other words, only 5 times had someone called me since I bought my phone. 3 of them were for Nanami. What about the other 2? There was the one from 5 days ago and the one just now. Since their number was on my contacts, it wasn't showing up as a name. They were both from the same number. If they left a message, it must mean they really wanted to talk to me. It must mean that they really wanted to talk to me. It couldn't hurt to listen to a message, right?
楠木
This is Yua Kusunoki. Oh boy. Oop.
ごめんな
I'm
さい
sorry for calling you so suddenly,
ただ
but
どうしても
there's something
お
I
話
wanted
しした
to
いこ
tell
とがあ
you.
ってセイラちゃんの新しい
I bought a Sarah figure,
私も
too,
買いました西条くんの
and I was only able to do it thanks to you.
ありがとうございます
Thank you.
とっても可愛いんです
It's
けど
very cute, but kinda naughty, isn't it?
ですね買うときすごく
I've been really embarrassed when I bought it. Oh, right.
今
You
週
saw
の
this week's Splatoon, right?
すごい展開でしたね
It was an incredible episode, wasn't it?
見ながらずっと
I was so excited when I watched it.
この多重人格
You schizophrenic.
あなたが殺したの
You killed her.
人殺し
Killer.
真犯人
Criminal.
罪を償いな
Atone
が
for your crimes.
ら逃がさないから
I won't let you get away.
その目誰の
Whose eyes are those? Fun delusion. I knew it was just a delusion, and I still felt terrified. It was totally possible that Yua could have gotten my number from somewhere and called me. I didn't really want to listen to the message. But after using delusion to simulate the worst possible scenario, I was ready to at least try listening to it. I shook off my depression and played the call. I looked around a bunch of times to make sure the demon girl wasn't anywhere nearby and put the phone up to my ear.
こちらは留守番電話
This is your
サービスセンタ
voicemail
ーです
service. You have one new message.
1件目
First
10
message.
月17日
Message left on Friday, October 17th
8時
at 8:28
28
a.m.
分の伝言です
なんぞこれ
What the heck? What I heard wasn't a voice. It was a melody I knew well. It seemed to be playing somewhere far off in the distance. The caller might have been standing near a traffic light. You heard that melody a lot on crosswalks to let the blind know that the light had changed. The song was called Torianse, by the way. Torianse. A lot of people knew the melody, but not many knew the lyrics, probably. I knew them for what it's worth. I learned them in elementary school. I didn't remember them completely, but they went something like this. Pass through, pass through. What narrow path is this? This is the narrow path of Tenjin. Interesting. Please let us pass through. None may pass through, but that have business here. We come to offer this talisman for our child's 7th birthday. The going is easy. Hey. It sounded like the way back is beep boop beep boop. It sounded like an ambulance or something. It's probably a coincidence, but still, it was creepy. Just after the melody cut off, I heard what sounded like a loud buzzer. The volume was so loud, I yanked the phone away from my ear. Oh, what the hell? I fearfully put the phone back to my ear, but the message was over. What was that about? It felt like I heard the earth rumbling at the end, too. That buzzer was totally different than the traffic signal. If it was that loud, they might have brought it up to the phone. A prank call? My heart was racing. Had I done something to piss somebody off? Who'd even made this call? I got their number, so I could call back if I wanted to, but I didn't have the courage. There was nothing I could do about it, and anyway, I was still in the middle of something much worse happening to me. I put the phone in my pocket and left the school, watching my surroundings as carefully as I possibly could. Takumi Nishijo's alma mater, Kitazawa Elementary School No. 2, was 5 minutes away from a privately operated train station. Yasujiban had the idea of talking to his old teacher, but when he called the school, he found out they'd passed away. Instead, he opted to talk to the person he'd spoke to on the phone, the current head teacher, a man named Kamio. He and his partner had come here to do just that. It was a Saturday, and the school was closed. Bon and Suwa were standing in front of the school building looking at it. There was a very eye-catching picture drawn on its outer walls. Bon wasn't the artistic type, so it was beyond him what the thing might be. It looked like a spiral, but it changed into 7 different colors from top to bottom, so it also kind of felt like a rainbow. Bon waved his fan as he stared at it. His partner Suwa pushed the call button on the gate. Bon suddenly looked around. It felt like somebody was watching him. It was an unpleasant, clingy sort of gaze. Am I that cool? He struck a little pose. He looked stylish and cool, he thought. Oh boy. Why are you posing like that? It's weird. There's an entrance around back they've asked us to use. Bon gave up on his pose inside. He started to walk. It didn't take long to find the teacher's office. The back gate led to the school's rear entrance, and a turn off the hallway inside took you there. There were, of course, no children inside the school. It may have just been the shiny linoleum, but the air felt cooler than it did outside. There were 3 teachers in the teacher's office. One of them stood up and bowed as the detectives entered. His rapidly graying hair was parted, and he had a pleasant smile on his face. This was Kamio. Bon and Suwa brought out their IDs, at almost precisely the same time, giving brief introductions before getting to the point. It was Suwa's job to do the talking. We would like to hear what you can tell us about your former student, Takumi Nishijo. I remember him, yes. He wasn't in my class, so I can't tell you too many details. Will that be alright? Suwa nodded and opened his notebook to start taking down a memo. What kind of kid was Nishijo? He was difficult, I'm told. Special. Special? He had a certain illness that would normally make it very difficult for him to mix with the other students. How specifically? I'm not sure if it's okay for me to say. Would you please ask his family or his doctor? Almost all the schools were like this these days. They didn't want any trouble. They refused to do anything that could result in an angry phone call from a parent. It made the cop's job a lot harder. What happened to his teacher? An accident. During a field trip, the class's bus was going across a bridge when it collapsed. Oh, I remember that. It was on the news. The kids were fortunately just injured. None of them died, but Mr. Saito, unfortunately, was not so lucky. It was very unfortunate. And Nishijo was hurt in this accident as well. Kamiya shook his head softly. He was absent that day and didn't get on the bus.
欠席の理由は
Why was he absent?
病が悪
I
化
remember
した
hearing that
と
his illness
聞い
took a
たよう
sudden
な
turn
覚え
for
が
the
あります
worse.
が
Bond vaguely remembered the incident too. He'd seen the media standing outside the house of the one boy who had been injured for days on end, trying to get an interview. The boy had never shown himself, however.
あれは悲し
It
い
was a
事
sad
故だったん
accident.
ですよ
For some reason, Kami repeatedly seemed to put emphasis on the word accident. Having a quick chat with Grim before diving into ESO was becoming a daily routine of mine. We never talked about anything specific. We'd swap information about the latest Achan threads or talk about naughty stuff, or our latest favorite manga, or the anime we'd seen the other day. Stuff like that. Oddly enough, we didn't talk much about ESO. We do more than enough ESO chat when we were playing after this. Have you heard anything about weird planks lately? Kawasku? I'll find out. Kawashiku. Give me the details. Used by 2000s era netizens when they wanted more information on something. No, I need to stop doing that. God damn it. It was just something I heard. I don't know if it was really something people are doing. But like... They played weird noises on your cell phone. Did they say naughty things with a moe voice? Well, what kind of age game is that? I mean, if it wasn't it, I'd love to get pranked. Oh, if it was it, I'd love to get pranked. So what kind of sonome dare no me is it? Thoughts. Grim kept using that phrase. Instantly I felt sick. The sentence didn't even make sense. Why was the phrase funny enough that he had to force it in everywhere? I didn't think so, at least. If anything, it was stupid. But I couldn't start an argument until I asked him about the prank. I decided to just put up with it for now. Like the sound of some nasty otaku jerking it. That would be awful. Actually, it's Toyonse. Toyonse? That's a song, right? The one they play on Crosswalks? Yep. And then suddenly it changes into this buzz noise. And it's really, really loud. You ever heard of a prank like that? I mean, it sounds like something that Channers would do. It does. That strange noise that had been left on my phone yesterday. I didn't know who was behind it, and it seemed pretty unnerving, so I decided to try and ask Grim. If it was just a prank, I could forget about it. Huh? Why wasn't Grim responding? Hello? You fall asleep? There was no answer. It was rare for Grim to pass out on me during a chat. Yeah, it never happened before, actually. But if it happened, it happened. I'd see him later in ESO, and I could talk to him then. Just when I was about to get up and out of my seat. Back. I ran a search on 8chan. About that prank you're talking about. Oh, was that what he was up to? But that would mean that even Grim didn't know about it, and he usually knew everything. Nobody was talking about it, though. Not just on 8chan, but on the rest of the internet. So it must be somebody who had a personal grudge against me, then? I was starting to get really curious about who it could be, but I didn't have the courage to call them back. I suddenly had an idea. If I knew the phone number, I could have someone else call it for me. Maybe Nanami or Misumi, who would be the two safest bets. No, Misumi was brainwashed by the demon girl. It wasn't a good choice. Nanami was my little sister, so it'd be easy to ask her. She'll get really mad later, probably, but that wasn't my problem. It was the least she could do after all the bullshit she put me through. I said thanks to Grim and ended the chat, promising to meet up with him later in ESO. My stomach was starting to rumble. I was hungry. Did I have any instant ramen somewhere? I looked, but didn't find any. I had no choice but to go to the convenience store. The sun had already set. I would prefer not to be out at night if I could avoid it. Mainly only bad things had been happening at night. I entered the convenience store, my feet moving faster than they usually did. It was Saturday, so normally I would have seen a bunch of people on the street. Today it was empty. All the stores that would usually be open were closed. It was kind of strange. Maybe I'd forgotten what time it was. I thought it was 7 p.m., but maybe it was actually 2 a.m. or something. Nah, no way. Still, it was way too quiet. You couldn't hear any of the noises you'd usually heard in the city. The town felt different, somehow. I made it to the convenience store in front of Shinsen Station. Even the people around the station were completely devoid of people. Well, even the area. I was starting to get even more down a little scared. When something makes you expect it to be there suddenly vanishes, it makes you feel like you've been sucked into some strange other world. Normally I avoided any interaction with other people, but today I longed to see somebody's face. I ran into the convenience store. There should be at least a cashier here, I thought. I looked around. Oh boy. There's nobody. No customers, no employees.
まさか
No way. That was impossible, right? The cashier must be in the back. If I took my stuff up to the register, they'd come out right away. I forced myself to take my I am picking out a boxed meal from the refrigerated section. I even pretended to look at the manga magazines before finally putting my meal on the counter next to the cash register. Nobody came out from the back. I started to have an awful premonition. This wasn't right. Had I wandered into someplace I really shouldn't be? As I stood in front of the register, I took a quick look outside. I couldn't see a single person moving on the other side of the glass doors, but I could see a silhouette, partially hidden by the shadow of the condo building across from me. Huh? The silhouette quickly hid, but still, I could see it clearly. There was something long and black in its hands, like a tube. Was that a sniper rifle? It would either be the police force mobile unit, or maybe the special assault team. I hadn't seen anybody because the police had sealed off the area. But why? Suddenly, I had a shocking realization. I quickly looked around the store before hiding myself behind a shelf. Could there be a hostage situation happening in the store? Maybe there's a criminal in the back room who had taken the cashier hostage. And maybe that criminal was the one responsible for the New Gen murders? Oh no. I crouched down with my head in my hands. Why had I come to some place so dangerous? And what were the police doing? If they had this area sealed off, why didn't they stop me before I came in? Was there any way to get out? If I stayed here, they'd take me hostage too. Fortunately, I hadn't run into the criminal yet. If they were locking themselves up in the back room, that was my chance to run. I was so scared my knees were shaking. I could barely even stand up. Still, I somehow managed to stand up and slowly head toward the door when... Attention, criminal. It started with a really stereotypical message. The kind you didn't see on police procedurals anymore. A policeman was yelling into a microphone outside the store. I was so startled that I hid behind the shelf again. You're completely surrounded. Give up the hostage and surrender. It was like something out of a cheesy old movie. Didn't they have any hostage negotiators or anything? You have 30 seconds to comply. That was short. Just 30 seconds. Surrender within 30 seconds. Or we will have no choice but to use force. Wait, force. Were they gonna put the hostage in danger? If somebody tried that in modern Japan, wouldn't the BDS crucify them? What were the cops thinking? I held my breath and stayed as still as I could. My heart was pounding really fast. I felt like it was about to burst. If the police did come in, the store would turn into a war zone. I'd be caught up in it. Maybe I'd get hit by a stray bullet and die. Please, no. The criminals seemed to be doing nothing at all. The inside of the store was dead quiet. I was starting to get mad. Why had the criminal done something so stupid? Come on, just surrender. Surrender or something might happen to me too. I peeked up from the shelf and looked outside again. Shockingly, there was a full team of SAT snipers out there, plainly visible, pointing their rifles right at me. I quickly pulled my head back. The police seemed intent on shooting the killer. Is that even legal in Japan? I couldn't believe it. 10 seconds! No way. Come on, please stop. I looked around helplessly, before I happened to look down at my hands. Huh? For some reason, my hand was holding a knife. It was stained red too. This was blood. Huh? Huh? I was confused. When did I get this knife? Where did it even come from? I heard a moan right next to me. The cashier was lying there. It was a dull, unimpressive looking college kid. His hands were bound behind his back, and his mouth was sealed with tape. He was staring at me. His eyes were flushed with terror. Why was he looking at me? Don't look at me like that. Look at me like I'm the criminal. Wait, the criminal? Am I the criminal? No, it's not me. I didn't do anything. Time's up. We will now shoot you dead. No. Snipers, ready. No. Fire. No. Please don't act like that. Why would they scream fire anyway? Sheesh. This wasn't an old war movie or something. Several minutes had passed while I was lost in my delusion. There's no sign of any employee at all. I wanted to believe that the cashier was just asleep, so I waited another 5 minutes. But there was still no sign of the cashier or anybody else. There wasn't even any sound. I finally got so scared I just put the thing back on the shelf and left. I came to the railway crossing right next to the station. I could see the Shinsen station platform clearly from here. There's no way a station platform could be empty, I told myself. It was just impossible. But of course, there was nobody there. I decided to wait for a train to come. If a train stopped at the station, people would surely get off. And even if nobody did, I could see somebody in the train as it went past. I waited 10 minutes, and there was no sign of any train. I tried to tell myself that there might have been an accident or something that had thrown the schedule off, but there still wasn't a single person on the platform. Only then did I realize the seriousness of the situation. It didn't make sense. This wasn't right. I decided to head to Shibuya Station. There's always somebody there. I was sure of that. The area around Shibuya Station was always busy, 24 hours a day. I couldn't take the fear anymore, so I started to run. I ran as fast as I could. Even when I started running out of breath, I still didn't stop. I wasn't sure if I'd ever run so hard in my entire life. As I ran, I wish this was all just some awful dream, but it wasn't. My heart and lungs were in so much pain. I thought they'd explode. There's no way this pain could just be a dream. I was surprised at how intense my breathing was. But no matter how much air I took in, the pain didn't go away. I headed down Dogenzaka Hill and finally got within sight of the 107 building. By that point, my legs were barely moving. My body felt incredibly heavy. But I forced my legs to move forward. I didn't even have the strength left for looking around me. My entire consciousness was focused on getting me to Scramble Crossing, the symbol of Shibuya. Almost there. Just a bit more. I just had to make it past the 107. Then I'd be in the busiest place in Japan, the place where everyone mixes together when the walk sign changes. That's why it's called Scramble. Scramble. Empty. The whole of Scramble Crossing and Shibuya Station were empty. A world without sound. A world that was dead. The air around the crossing was always filled with a flood of sound, but today it was ruled by silence. All I could hear was the sound of my own panting.
そんな
Impossible. I fell to my knees in the middle of a wide road. I couldn't take another step. But more than that, the shock had drained all the strength from my body. Oh boy. Chip break. This is Shibuya, right? There's nobody to my left or right, nor my back or front, anywhere. It was the busiest time of the week, 7 p.m. on a Saturday. What was going on here? This couldn't be happening. I closed my eyes and put my hands up to my head. This is a dream, an illusion. It couldn't be real. Sure, I thought I'd wanted to live a quiet life all by myself. I didn't want to get caught up in anything or have anyone meddle in my plans. But that didn't mean I wanted to be the only person in the world. If there were no other people, who's gonna pay my living expenses? If there were no other people, who's gonna make the meals I got from the convenience store? If there were no other people, who's gonna play ESO with me? If there were no other people. Sound. I heard a sound. It wasn't me, it was a sound someone else made. Someone was here. Someone was close. I felt saved. It was just random chance that the crossing looked empty. Nobody had actually disappeared. I had been left alone in the world. I was almost ready to cry from sheer relief. I turned toward the sound.
君は
Who are you? It was a boy in a wheelchair. He was silently sitting there, some distance from me, but still in the middle of the road. It was hard to figure out how old he was. If I went just off his height, I would have thought he was in elementary school. He's in a wheelchair. He had a hat pulled down over his eyes, making it hard to make out his face. But
やっと
we finally meet. The boy's voice was strangely clear, as if it was being whispered into my ear. I actually found myself turning around to check if somebody was behind me, but of course nobody was.
あの
What's going
どう
on
なってるん
here?
ですか
I asked him.
どうして
Why
誰
isn't
もいない
anybody
の
else here?
君は理由を
Do you
知ってますか
know why?
知ってるよ
I do. His voice sounded young, but not like a child's.
それより
But more importantly,
僕のメッセージは
did you get my
受け取って
message?
くれた
Message. I didn't know what he was talking about.
誰だ
Who
君は
Who are you? His wheelchair advanced forward, wheels turning just a little. It must have been an old chair, because it made a rusty creaking sound as it went.
その目誰の目
Soname darename. Whose eyes are those?
でしょ
Right. I wasn't sure what to think. My had this voice suddenly said, whose eyes are those to me right here, right now? Who was he?
目覚めるんだ
Wake up,
早く
soon.
出ないと
Otherwise,
もっとたくさんの人が
even more people
死
will
んじゃう
die.
ことになるから
Who are you? I rubbed my eyes, wiping away my tears. Only then could I finally see his face. The boy wasn't a boy. His face was wrinkly, like an old man. His cheeks were caved in. His eyes sank deep into his skull. The white's cloudy, and he had no eyebrows. Yet his body was as tiny as a child's.
僕は
I'm
将軍だよ
Shogun. Oh. I see. For a moment, I forgot to breathe. My head felt like it had been hit by a hammer. The ground seemed to shake. No, it was my body that was shaking. I put a hand on the asphalt to support myself. What had he just said? Shogun. This was Shogun?
忘れないで
Don't forget,
君は
you
逃げちゃい
mustn't
けな
run.
い
I looked up and saw that Shogun had already turned away from me. His wheelchair was creaking as he slowly disappeared. It didn't even occur to me to try to... Blah, 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 blah. It didn't even occur to me to try and follow him, or ask more questions. Or to punch him in the face for getting me caught up in this. I wasn't any good at any of that stuff. My head was starting to hurt. Felt an aching in my temples. I stayed on the ground trying to endure the pain.
タク
Taku. The silent world suddenly began to fill with static. Who was that voice? Don't look at me. Taku. The static began to change into a voice. Somebody was putting their hand gently on my shoulder.
邪魔なんだってな
Get out of the way.
何してんだろうね
What's his problem?
最近の若い
Kids these days.
なんかのパフォーマンスじゃ
Some
ない
kind
の
of street performance?
タク
Taku. I looked up, still reeling from the headache. The demon girl, Rimi, was leaning over me and looking down into my eyes. Her eyes were clear and filled with life. Those eyes stared at me, and only me. Again, once again, she's just shown up out of nowhere.
歩ける
Can you walk?
歩いて
Come on. She put her hands under my arms and tried to help me up. I screamed and pushed her away. Then I came to my senses and looked around. I was still in the middle of the road, but I wasn't alone anymore. There were people all around me, walking past me without the slightest bit of interest.
タク
Taku. Rumi seemed like she was about to cry as she looked at me.
今は
For now,
私の言うこ
just
とを
listen
聞
to
い
me.
て
Stay away from me! I screamed, the aching in my head turning into a stabbing pain. I tried to fight through the pain and crawl away from her, to put as much distance between her and me as possible. It's you, right? You made me see that. It was your delusion. You controlled my mind. It's a kind of mental attack. You demon. I'll kill you with my sword. If I could just get back to the base. I got a D sword. I felt a sudden shock on my cheek. It stung and started to feel hot. Remy had slapped me. This time, she was gonna kill me. I tried to crawl away as fast as I could. But Remy easily grabbed my hand. She pulled me close with the strength that was hard to believe a girl could have. No. Then held me tight. Her soft body pressed against me gently. It was so warm. I could smell just the slightest hint of sweat. Her long, flowing hair tickled my nose.
しっかりして
Calm down. It was the last thing I expected her to say. I could feel the strength leave my body.
ここにいたら
It's dangerous to
yo.
stay here. Her voice sounded a little sad. I couldn't tell if she was crying.
信号
Look,
赤に
the
なっちゃって
crosswalk
るから
signal's red. I wasn't sure what to think. Wasn't she here to kill me? Why was she saving me? Was that hallucination of people disappearing from Shibuya something she'd forced me to see? Once I felt this gentle warmth from her, as she held me in her innocent arms. How could I still be sure? How could I stop myself from thinking that maybe Irimi Sakihata wasn't a demon after all? Or at all? Was I just a fool? Was I falling for her tricks? The one thing I could be sure of was that I felt so safe and peaceful in her arms. What was this strange feeling? Rimi let me go, and then put her hands up to my cheeks and looked me in the face. Her eyes were a little red.
お願い
Please,
今は
just for now,
私についてきて
follow me,
いい
okay? I nodded. We were standing in the middle of the now empty crosswalk. People on both sides of the road were staring at us as they waited for the light to change. I could hear laughter starting to bubble up from the crowd. The cars all had their headlights pointing at me and were starting to honk their horns. Remy held my hands tightly and started to run toward the sidewalk. I followed along, letting her pull me forward. I managed to make it through the noise of the horns to the sidewalk. Remy let out a sigh of relief and stopped. She was still holding my hand. Just touching her made me feel calmer and calmer. I didn't want to give in to the feeling and stay like this forever. Mimi turned toward me.
無事でよかったね
I'm glad you're safe. She looked so happy. I couldn't believe that the look on her face might be a lie or an act. But... let me go. I thought of her as my enemy for so long. I thought of her as a demon. If I gave in, I'd cease to be me. That's how I felt, at least.
あごめんごめん
sorry. She let go.
それにしてもびっく
He
りした
surprised me, though. Just lying out there in the middle of the road like that.
信号が赤になった時
I
は
was so
どう
worried
なる
when
こと
the
か
light
と
turned red. She sounded happy. I turned away. I started to push through the crowds and walk forward.
僕
I'm
帰る
going home.
あじゃ
Oh,
あ
then I'll
送る
walk
よ
you home.
具合悪い
You're
ん
not
でしょ
feeling well, right? I could hear her chasing after me, but I shook my head no.
たく
Taku. The cheerfulness in her voice had vanished. I felt really bad, since she just saved me, so...
ありがとう
Thank you. I just barely managed to squeak out the words. I certainly didn't think they'd end up merging all three of the task forces into one. Yosajiban sighed bitterly to himself as he looked at the rows of detectives assembled in the Shibuya police station's large conference room. The Inokashira line Shibuya Station bathroom murder was the media had taken to calling vampire and had pushed the Shibuya police available manpower to its absolute limits. And with 3 bizarre murders in the same district, it was looking more and more likely that a single culprit was responsible for all of them. Some officers had suggested leaving the Cornelius Tower suicides to the Youth Crimes Division, but the media was treating them as part of New Gen. And they'd take a lot of flack if it seemed like they were leaving it out. It was only natural that HQ would decide to bring the task forces together into one big team. Right now, the new bigger group was going back over each of the cases individually. There was a big screen at the front of the room, showing slides of the crime scenes. Suwa had been assigned to giving the brief on them. Oh boy. He and Bon had been up all night, frantically going through the case files for all 4 cases. Good luck, kid, Bon said to himself, resting his head on his palm. The Cornelius Tower group suicide took place on September 7th. This was the first of the 4 cases that the media referred to as the New Gen murders. At around 11:30, a group of 5 boys and girls fell from the Cornelius Tower heliport. They all died on impact. Five, huh? They were all minors, high school kids. 3 boys, 2 girls. 2 of them, a boy and a girl, went to the same school. The rest all attended different schools. Autopsies showed that they all had small fragments of flesh under their nails and scratch marks on their palms. We can conclude from this that they likely held hands as they fell. There was no sign of any suicide note left behind on the roof. The 5 of them seemed to have met after school and headed to Cornelius Tower. As for the question of whether this was a homicide, it's worth noting that the Cornelius Tower roof is off limits to visitors. At the time of the incident, the door to the roof was locked. No fingerprints from the victims are found on the doorknob. None of the deceased had a key on their bodies when they'd been found either. This implies that the third party besides the victims is present at the scene. Hang on, I will grab some water. Here, I will save and also, throw up the BRB screen. I wasn't going to, but might as well. Bleep. I'm back. Water get. My current assumption is that this third party had the key to the door, unlocked the door and left either before or after they jumped. We've questioned every employee at the Cornelius Tower Hotel. Almost all of them had an alibi. We're now talking to employees of the companies that are located in the tower. None of the 5 victims had any motive for suicide that we've been able to find. We have testimony from family, friends, and teachers from 4 of the 5 that they would have absolutely no reason to kill themselves. See. The slide changed, moving to the second case. The murder of the college kid and unborn baby under the Shibuya station tracks. As for this case, which they are calling the pregnant man, they just smacked my mic into my face. So exciting. It took place on September 19th, 12 days after what had been termed to the group dive. That was like a few days ago, man. It was a worker at a local karaoke place who discovered the body. They found it at approximately 5 a.m. The victim was one Shizuo Kanoe, a third-year college student in Shibuya. He was 21 years old. The victim was deceased at the time he was found. Estimated time of death is around 1 a.m. on the 19th, 4 hours before the body was discovered. The victim's stomach was abnormally bloated. An unborn baby was found within it. An autopsy revealed that someone had opened the victim's chest while he was still alive, with the baby inside his stomach. The infant was still likely deceased at the time. The victim would have died after his belly was sewn back together. We found indications that he ripped at the stitches and torn some of the thread. The baby would have been in its 8th month of development, and we believe it was removed from the mother's body via C-section. For now, we know nothing about the mother, not even whether she's dead or alive. The DNA analysis revealed the baby and victim had no genetic relationship. For what it's worth, the baby had blood type B, the victim had type A. Suo paused to take a breath. Talking so much had tired him out, it looked like. Giving a presentation in front of his many older detectives was probably nerve-wracking too. Now on to the third incident, the crucifixion murder at Murimariyama-cho. There was a slight pause before crucified slide came up. This is the shot of the scene. This one took place on September 29th. The victim was one Hishida Ota, age 56, professor at Todai University. A man who lived in a nearby apartment was the one to find the body. Cause of death was strangulation. After death, he was nailed to the wall with 10 or so stakes. As you can see, there are a few wounds on the body itself. While some of the stakes did go through flesh, they were primarily nailed through his clothes. The media is calling it the bloody crucifixion, but there was no blood loss whatsoever in the victim. The nails he used were cross-shaped stakes, sold by a German company named Kreuzangel. The choice of cross-shaped nail is a distinctive one, and we're currently looking into any religious connections. The incident occurred between 9 and 9:30 p.m. We have reports from residents that they heard the sounds of nails being pounded into a wall for at least 10 to 20 minutes. Since this matches the estimated time of death, we could assume the victim was killed at the spot, or failing that, somewhere nearby. We also have an unreliable report of sighting of a female Suimei Academy student in the area. Lastly, the Inoshira Line Shibuya Station bathroom murder, aka vampire. This one happened on October 10th. It was found at approximately 5:30 a.m. The station employee was the first to find it. We know nothing about the victim for the moment. They didn't have any kind of identification with them. Time of death could be anywhere from 10 to 6 p.m. the day prior. The body was drained of blood and looked something like a mummy. As you're aware, this photo was taken by an unknown party and uploaded to an internet auction site approximately 15 minutes before the body was found. Bond grimaced a little as he listened to the explanation. Was this the killer's way of saying the death had become fashion or something? Yay, chapter 3 over. That one took a while. Oof. But definitely interesting. We now know who Shogun is, sort of. Or at least seen him, at least, if nothing else. No. Do you have any thoughts to share, Spooky, about the occurrences of chapter 3? So much stuff, so little thoughts. Yeah, I feel like that's the trend with Chaos Head, to be honest. It's a lot, but also, like, it's hard to have anything to say about it. It is throwing me off hearing my voice from your phone. I cry. I'm not sure if I actually want to raid anyone, since, like, you're my only viewer. Yeah, there isn't anyone that I would be dying to raid. So, no raid tonight. Because I'm the EP. Yeah. No harm, no foul, right? But, tomorrow's Data Live. You know, just the usual stuff. Might figure out a sponsor, and if I do get a sponsor, I'll do that in the middle of the day. With time before. Kind of like what I did last time I had the sponsor stream. We'll see, though. We'll see. But, thank you guys so much for joining, as usual. More Chaos Had next week. Yeah. Bye-bye. Good night.